Well, good morning out there. My name is Sabrina Wallace. I've tried for 3 years to get the regular humans in the world to start moving your mouth in regards to your missing anatomy. And, Guten Morgen, Frau. Oh, I've got some words in about 10 different languages. Let's get her going. Yeah, I managed to get in my bath last night. I was very happy with that. Got to wash my hair. It was nice. I had a lot of trouble sleeping due to some other things that I found that I need to explain, but we're gonna kick off today and say Danke Sharon, like normal, to Corinne, non-vaxxer, and his team. But I want to show you on the X first what Dawn said. Dawn says, thanks to the Q, and those of us who are adults in the United States, we know exactly what that means. Thank you, you fucked up, stupid letter of the alphabet. Oh, I'm sorry. Clandestine clearances, that's what I meant to say, who made our country sit still and burn. Thank you. That's what you're looking for, right? What is the Q? The Q gospel clearly explained. QAnon. We're gonna, and then we're gonna, and then we're gonna, and then, and yet not a fucking thing changed, nothing happened. And I'll have that for the second part of this presentation, because that's what I worked on last night when, unfortunately for me, because see, I don't think it bothers the rest of you that are struggling to stay alive right now. I just don't. I think the only ones are those of us who have to be put through watching this fucking Biden-like bullshit over and over and over and over. And then the different numbers that came off of the other Biden-driven Department of Homeland Security organ harvesting. Wait till you see the numbers on the spreadsheet. I don't care that it's Clone Jones. I mentioned y'all. The Pope just died. Now, in my opinion, because this was Tuesday, today is, let's see. Yeah, today's Thursday. So yesterday was Kathy O'Brien. Tuesday was some really horrific numbers and just really awful stuff with the organ harvesting that the Trump administration ain't doing shit about. How dare get gone. Politicians are politicians. They don't have magic wands. They have motion that they take that takes time. There's a bigger system at play here than your precious 1, 2, 3, 4 politicians, or your right or your left, or any of that garbage. Or else we wouldn't still be watching this woman get up there and go, it's neurons! You can heal! Not a mention of the body area networks. Not a mention of the body area networks. Why haven't you saved the children? Why won't you talk about the real systems that you're using? Gee, I wonder. We're never going to give up these remotes. You don't say. I tend to believe them, you know. I'm pretty sure they're serious. Pretty sure, but the normies and the rest of the world, even CBS doesn't do it for them. And that's where I started out from. I'm like, so let me get this straight. Hang on, I gotta pull up my other little page, or apologies. I'm like, okay, so all these years with all this stuff going on, right? Hang on. All these years with all this stuff going on, it's not real until CBS, CNN, ABC says so. So here comes Catherine Herridge on Monday, Tuesday. Excuse me. And in case you missed it, in this particular little thing.
Why do you think the U.S. government is setting the bar so high? I think they just wanted to protect their reputation. Act by a hostile intelligence service after you made a major find about their capabilities that they were going to use against the United States.
Right.
This 2014 national security memo linked the hostile country where Beck says he was attacked to a high-powered microwave system weapon, but the Becks are still fighting for recognition.
If this memo is not enough evidence that your husband was hit by a directed energy weapon, What else does the U.S. government need?
They basically wanted the hostile country to say, yes, we hit Mike Beck on this date, this time, in this place.
So we're not going to help you. We're not going to pay your disability bills. We're not going to leave you the fuck alone. We're going to let you be slowly wasted away. And that way, because it's all plausibly deniable, we don't got to pay anything. We're nice and good. Did you forget how these weapons work? I'm sure you did, because as usual, nobody wants to talk about the reality here. Okay? So here's Mr. Crane that we've shown repeatedly. This is from a year ago. Nothing changed. Nobody's getting lawfare because not a one of you, whether it's in Congress or over here, anywhere, HOW. You hear the birds? That's my front lawn. I ain't playing a nature track. I could barely sleep again last night. Nobody fucking cares. And it's way worse for other people out there than me. So I wake up and I pray. Because there's other people out there recovering right now that are beautiful red-pilled sassy lassies and others. But I was sitting there going over this in my head, and I realized I think most people missed what he said because they're always so excited to finally be validated. Oh my God, it's real. And a different friend, well, someone I would consider a friend, he said, oh, good Lord, they're still trying to blame it, on other countries. And so I brought in my husband and my caregiver, and I sat him down. And I'm like, guys, please listen to this again for me and tell me what year you hear. I want to make sure I'm hearing this properly.
At, what, 63?
It was hard.
Okay, hang on.
Last August, after his condition worsened and his wife of 40 years could no longer care for him at home.
It's devastating. We had a bucket list for when we retired. And being together was on it, not living apart.
Mike, was it a hard decision for you to leave your family home and move into assisted living at, what, 63?
It was hard. It was depressing. But I understood the situation I was in.
Help people understand what they're seeing and hearing from your husband.
So it has been a slow deterioration over time. And he's gradually losing his train of thought. He forgets what the next word is, so he'll get stuck. And he'll stop because his brain isn't processing fast enough.
Hey, normies who think it's all fake, it doesn't affect you. I want you to tune your ears as best you can, okay? Trying to make sure that you don't have to listen to more than is absolutely necessary. Please listen to the halls of Congress a year ago, because then I'm going to click play again and you're going to hear that man's case that they said, fuck you, die. He got hit in 1996. You ain't special. I'll guarantee it. They'll leave you to suffer worse than this guy. He at least worked for them. Who the hell are you?
And have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
I wonder what low intensity, long duration hits of your own brain tissue does. Let's take a look.
An incredibly sharp and capable counterintelligence officer, much of Beck's 33 years of government service remain classified. Beck's progressive brain injury has left him physically and mentally debilitated. We took multiple breaks during our interview.
Mike, you did counterintelligence work for the U.S. government. You dealt with highly classified information above top secret special access programs. Does your government intelligence work remain highly classified to this day?
Yes. Yes, it is.
A year after this home video was shot of his daughter's christening in 1995, Beck describes a directed energy weapon attack that hit him and his partner while on assignment for the U.S. government. The location remains secret.
We traveled to a hostile country and we found some...
Wow. Isn't that, they love us and it's all for our good. Okay. Okay, hang in here. I guess we're going to do it this way in this order first. So, just like the stupid Q was there to make sure while you were focused on the white hats, they're coming, and the aliens and the dumbs, yeah, they're cleaning them out. Meanwhile, there were plenty of people other than Clone Jones and the wrong tip of the spear. Plenty of people, I'm sorry, but there were. For the last 3-4 years that had these videos of these random migrant children in the hands and arms of, and it's always the same, some church bus, church car, church organization. And where are they going? Who are they disappearing with? Oh, we don't know. Oh, we're so stupid. Bullshit. You can find a gnat on a dog's ass. The same satellite technology. But you also simultaneously, now keep your brain in your head, at the same time that we are watching yesterday. See, people forget. They just instantly forget because it's so quick. Don't forget. Focus. That man was harmed in 1996. They let his brain rot in his head because it's good for them. Keeps his special access project, those of us who don't fucking exist, away from anyone else in the world. Not going to pay your bills unless the other country admits what we're doing. Just like when the targeted justice people, some of their cases, got in front of the judge and they said, we're on an FBI database. And the judge said, well, I don't believe in that unless you show me the database. And the FBI sat on the other side and smirked at them and went, you're fucked now. And they were, and they got thrown out. So remember yesterday, because we can't find any of these kids, excuse me. Yesterday, we're watching this. We can't find any of these kids. There is no Internet of Bodies. We're all so stupid. And then we find this.
Gives key decision makers easy access to advanced surveillance options. Using the icons at the top, we can toggle the visibility of the subjects we want to view. We'll tap the human icon to activate their visibility. This gives us a real-time view of all the subjects in our jurisdiction. Let's use the search bar to find a specific subject. Here, we can search by typing in the name of a subject or search with an image of the subject's face. First, let's try typing in the name of our subject. In this case, there were 2 people with the same name found in our jurisdiction. We can tap a subject's live location to see more details. We can now see the live location and source details of the person we tapped on, with options to see more details to help us determine if this is our subject. To search by face, let's say we have an image of the subject. We can source this from a surveillance integration or by manually uploading an image. Using face search, we can find the exact person who matches the face of our subject. Let's say our subject is suspected of committing a crime last night. We can use the AI chat to see where he was at the time of the crime. The chat will respond and show us the exact location on the map. Let's say we have a crime report that tells us the suspect fled the scene at 9:30. Let's use the timeline tool to go to exactly 9:30. We can see that it matches the report. He's leaving the bar. Let's see where he is right now by using the timeline tool to go back to live. We can use the chat to automate the next steps, such as requesting an arrest warrant and sending units to the area once we receive it. The chat will automatically create an action plan and execute the plan for you as soon as you give the approval. It'll notify the relevant parties, execute according to your department's protocol, and custom integrations with your current services, allowing you to keep your jurisdiction safe and secure right from the palm of your hand with a central command platform.
Now, let's say that you're a full-blown idiot, because there's apparently been a bunch of them lately. Not that the human race hasn't had them throughout time. Sabrina's making shit up. How many more times do I have to rub your face in the fact that, dude, I ain't got nothing to do with the DHS. Not a damn thing. Dude, I ain't got nothing to do with the biosurveillance at the DHS. Nothing. I did not make this official website of the United States government. Okay? Can you read? Try again. DHS.gov. Not Sabrina was over there and she was just making things up. Just watch. Okay, here we go. FBI e-Guardian program. So making that up, huh? Hey, so far we're up to 3, because if you see this and you go, the police aren't using that. Yeah, because your family never held jobs with Special Access Project TSSCI clearance bricks. And the rest of you sitting there going, but the Q was literally nothing more than a chat app. See other videos. Can you tell I'm a little incensed this morning? Well, you just wait. Buckle in. Like I told you. When I woke up after I did this with my husband and caregiver last night, I woke up with tears in my eyes. Just sitting there. Just sit, just wait, just sit, just wait. Yeah, since 1996, sit and rot. And here we are. What are you doing? Is this an executive order type of thing? Oh, shit. How many numbers does that thing have in it? What the hell is it called? This is, no, President, raw data procedures. Well, that is the one. Hang on. FISA. And I don't have that many tabs open this morning. Apologies, I forgot to pull the DNI paper directly. See, that says dni.gov. No, she typed a Word document. So now, I, Sabrina Wallace, have the power of the executive order here in my almighty bedroom in West Virginia. I do not have any impact on anything I am showing you. What I am pointing out to you is that we're going to find anything, anybody, anywhere, 270 million people, including juveniles and over 70. They can find anybody that got apps on their phone. They've got the W-band. eGuardian is old. They got the Sentinel. Hang on. Then we have the fusion centers, and I warned you, every single American citizen by now ought to been up off their ass and going, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean I'm tethered to the cloud and I don't have a Fourth Amendment? But that didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen, as I've displayed to you repeatedly, is counterintelligence. Now, do you understand that that means our own military people, these green door people, they're helping get the job done. What's the job? DNA radar. That's where we're headed next. Did you do anything about the organ harvesting? No, we just can't find anybody. There's all those church vans, but we got to play with each other out in the open on the stage of the White House and dick each other and pretend. Oh, you said, oh God, in voting. Meanwhile, what's going on with all those children? How many of them did we lose every single day? Their average lifespan, 36 months. Thanks to you sitting on your ass watching the Q. They blamed you. They keep blaming the public. Well, they won't wake up. How could they possibly? You fucking bunch of frauds and liars. As literal trusted people of the alt media, the mainstream media, all you do is bullshit them all day. Just like, we finally have a win. Catherine Herridge on CBS. Put it right in your face as a humiliation ritual that the highest clearance we've got in our government got to have brain rot until he was torn from his wife, shoved in assisted living. And to this day, right now, our government will not pay his bills. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is they don't give two shits about you. Yeah, and if there weren't children involved, maybe I'd be a little more calm. But there are, along with the bio-cyber interface, which I'm hearing a lot more often. Good. Hopefully people will begin to understand that they are injecting everyone over the land. No, they already did. They're done. 4 years ago, this stupid, ridiculous con artist crap using a chat app. And there's still people lying about it today. So, what do you mean, Sabrina? What I mean is the same people that are working with your fusion centers, with your Department of Defense and all this software. These are jobs, okay? I've been over that and over that here on the channel. But the normie class of people, allegedly, they're like, oh, they're too stupid, it's scary, they can't know. And I said, dude, you're out of time. These are weapon systems, you know? Hello? No, it can't be. It already is, and they're already done. So we've got to help our loved ones. No, we're excited for Catherine Herridge because they're going to change the laws just for us. So they did. They've gone from the radar like you see there with the phone, etc. They got upgrades, DNA radar for tissue engineering, organ harvesting. Now it's not just limited to migrant children, you bunch of fools. That's everybody, of course. And they're very happy about it. And so, why can't you tell us nicely? Because I find it extremely offensive, but I understand it. See, the Pope died this week. So, on Tuesday, we get Catherine Herridge. On Wednesday, we get all the migrant numbers direct from the HHS, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's really bad. And these are employees for the government looking the other way and doing what they're told. You know, in the Nazi regime, they called them brown shirts. Now we call them the Department of Homeland Fuck You Security. See if my stream gets cut. I don't think anybody cares. Remember, I'm crazy like Cambridge, plausibly deniable. So as I've explained numerous times, this is software that they're using to hunt your body area network, just like that app said WBAN. Yeah, yeah. We're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk endlessly about the stupid Q. That way everyone's distracted. And then idiots online, well, Sabrina's science, I don't think it's real because they've lied to us about science. Yeah, the one thing that they don't lie, well, that's not true. They lie about everything. I agree with you. But when it comes to wireless body area network, is your internet working right now? If you're listening to me, it is. Tell me how. It's magical, right? You're looking for the little wings of your text message when you click your phone. Yeah. Those of you with that level of comprehension of how we route data on the internet, that's why you don't believe me. And to be kind about it, because I know it's not your fault, you're not from information technology. See, I have empathy for people from other jobs. That's why I try to teach people. So, this right here is the same as this right here, databases, is the same as this right here, more databases, is the same, damn it, as your FBI, eGuardian, and Sentinel and all that kind of stuff is the same as your executive order signals intelligence coming on down from the DNI and NSA, that would be your Director of National Intelligence, to your NSA, in which the purpose and procedures is to enable intelligence community elements to conduct their national security missions more effectively by providing them with access to unevaluated or unminimized, i.e. raw, signals, like your biosignals, like any signal they want. Signals intelligence collected by your national security agency. And just so we're clear, that's what you just saw, Fort Meade Station 1, on the top of that poor man's screw you letter from our own government. But over here, on January 3rd, 2017, the Director of National Intelligence, in coordination with the Secretary of Defense, issues the procedures for availability or dissemination of raw signals intelligence information by the National Security Agency. Under Section 2.3 of Executive Order 12333, the raw SIGINT availability procedures. DNI.gov. I'm not making any of this up. This is not my science. This ain't got shit to do with me. It has to do with the fact that my grandfather worked at Fort Meade Station 1 and my dad was SIGINT and my mom was cosmic clearance with NATO and coming back with the Air Force. I think it had something to do with military police. I don't know, because I never got her squad number. And my great uncle flew out of Aberdeen and he was also Air Force mechanic, blah, 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 blah. And that green door with your police some more, blah, blah, blah. So how is it that I know these things? I pay attention. And here's what I paid attention to. Trump comes out in 2016 and says, oh yeah, we're going to do something. Where's Hillary right now? Maybe she's having a latte. Where's Fauci? He working. Where's Gatesy Poo? Well, he's getting ready with the rest of them for the pandemic coming up this September, in my opinion, Polaris or whatever with the WEF. Oh, they're getting rid of them. Oh, they're doing just fine. And the reason they're doing just fine is because we have a system here that is biological. And I'm going to show you why they're doing just fine. But first, to finish off my point of the humiliation ritual of the week the Pope died. First, we're never going to pay your bills. We're going to rot your brain in your head as a thank you for working for us. Next, every single time that anybody, including Clone Jones or anybody, shows real imagery of what we're doing, importing our food dish, that would be organ harvesting. That would be organ harvesting by life extension technology, hint, hint. We're just going to call it something else, bitch, whine, complain, and lie, and distract people with the cue. Here we go.
I mean, this is evil, and then CIA contractors caught being involved. So he was on last week with and I wanted to get him back up to recap that and add more. Ryan Matta is our guest. He's an investigative reporter. His primary expertise in exposing government-funded child trafficking. What is treason? Invaded. The documentary focused on the implications of the current administration policies. That was Biden framing them as acts of betrayal and negligence, particularly concerning border security and national security, but it's really on purpose. And of course, they've got the new film, Operation Amber Alert, and more, but it's absolutely over the top, evil, and out in the open. So really, he's the expert. We've got the different clips and different trailers and different exhibits here. And there are a lot of people that are up to speed on this, and a lot of great people like Anthony Rubin and others in his group. And of course, we've been down to the border and shown it and caught incredible footage of the same woman all day handing babies over with no paperwork at the airport saying, "It's my baby, it's my baby." She goes, "It's another baby, it's my baby, it's my baby." And they go, "Oh, and they take it." I mean, it's over the top. But he's got probably the most horrible collection of admissions and whistleblowers and footage. But he does a great job laying this out. But the big line, and even when independent media confronts my organist, like last week, they go, "You're an idiot, you're incompetent, how dare you lose kids?" That's like saying to Charlie Manson, how dare you accidentally cut Sharon Tate's baby out of her? No, it's 100% premeditated. We have all the proof, and it's the right thing to expose this. It's the right thing to find the children, many of which we know are dead. Same thing in Europe. They have members of their parliament on recently. He said they're bringing the men out of Ukraine, and after they're raping them for a few months, they kill them. And they sell their organs. So this is treating humans worse than a dog, a rat. A total commodity, and this is who we're up against. You need to understand what we're up against, okay? And this is the cult. And you bring this down, you bring down the whole thing. So Ryan Matt is our guest. Ryan, you can give people the boil down. You can say what clip you want to play first. We've got all the points you said. You're a really prepared guest as an investigative journalist. Got Operation Amber Alert. We've got Where's the FBI Anti-Human Trafficking. We've got child trafficking at the border clips. 350,000 missing children. That's just a small number of what they admit. DNA testing of migrant children being re-implemented. Trump's decrees and his decreasing the trafficking of migrant children by 90% via the NGO network. That is huge good news. But we need to find them. Child rape is not even in the FBI's top 10 priorities. Why? You got the floor here, sir. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Alex, it's an honor to be here, man. I'm just standing on the shoulders of legends like yourself that have done it before us, man. And some of your work at the border, especially that video where you jumped in front of the car at what was that, Catholic Charities, when they were the car was filled with the children in the back of the car, and watching you jump in front of that car, man, it's probably one of my favorite clips of you of all time. So just thank you for bringing me on your show and giving this time to speak. Let's talk about the positive first, right? Let's talk about one of the single most important policy decisions that this administration has made. And that took place on March 14th of 2025, when the Trump administration re-implemented DNA testing back at the border. I think that's all common sense. I think everybody was freaking out. Yes, there it is, Alex. This is my absolute favorite clip right here of all time. And it highlights exactly what was happening here at the border. They are packing migrant children. These are the most vulnerable children, ages 0 to 17, who just arrived at our border, a majority of which who do not have a parent. They are by themselves. And this is Catholic Charities packing these children into the back of a vehicle where they're then going to transport them to the next destination, whether that's an airport, and they're going to get trafficked across state lines, and then they're going to end up in this child trafficking pipeline that our government has created. But I want to start with the important first. So I sent your staff a screenshot of a sheet that says release 2 sponsors. And this sheet is on HHS's website, and it shows the amount of children that were being delivered into this network by our government. So if we just take a look at the average number from October to January, you get a number of around 5,150. Yes, that's it right there. So January, Trump's technically first month, but Biden's first month in office, or last month in office, they were delivering 5,151 migrant children to grown men all across America without doing any DNA testing or verifying that these children were in any way related to that adult. So you can assume that about 90 to 95% of those were delivered into this trafficking pipeline. Trump's first full month in office, February of 2025, decreases that number from 5,151 to 1,858. That is a 64% decrease in his first month in office. By his second month, by March, dropped down to 343. That's a 93% decrease. So the Trump administration, the positive, is the fact that they decreased the amount of these migrant children being delivered into this network of pedophiles by our own government. So by next month, I would say that Trump will probably have decreased this number down to about 98 to 99%. It'll almost be non-existent because the cartels are no longer incentivized to brand their merchandise and bring it to and deliver it to a border patrol agent because it's not going to get to the buyer in America. It's never going to make it to its final destination. Now, I'll kind of land that one there. We can talk about that for a second before I go into the next rant. But I want to talk about how many of these children are actually missing, because it's a lot. And as of now, this administration has not brought home or saved a single one of these child. They said they have eyes on, and they've located 70,000, but physically going and rescuing and putting these children into a safer environment than they were in. As of now, I do not know of any migrant children that have been rescued, actually physically captured and saved by this administration.
Oh, it's all underground. It's the Q. Oh, they're gonna. No, they're not. And they could have at any point. They have all the resources. They have all the tools. Wait till you see these numbers. Just wait. Because Americans have been left deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. They think that this kind of crap only happens in, I don't know, some third world country. Hey, America, you are the new third world. You don't read. You're not capable of identifying a diagram properly. And while you've been doing that, playing stupid, being distracted, it's the Q! Well, they fucked you real good for like 8 years now. They're all right here. They all live here. We are the third world in every way. Whether it's infrastructure, all the different problems that we've got with organ harvesting, we're the new Philippines. This kind of shit used to only, well, not allegedly, it was really only happening overseas, etc., where they were so brazen about it. You could just go in and buy a 4-year-old. Now you do that down in Mexico, the border, and you can do it with help from our own Department of Homeland Security. That's why they hate Mayorkas so much. And here on the Synergy channel, we found right away that Mayorkas had help from the nerds, from the hackers. Not a problem. Meanwhile, they could go and do whatever they wanted to do. No, we've got red tape. We've got all these problems. Now, why would you have that going on unless you've got a deeper system here that you are never going to bother, you Masonic weirdos? Plus or minus the Mafia.
And I want to know why. I want to know why this is a top priority. And I'm going to really break it down for your audience on why it should be such a top priority if it's not.
And just to show this footage we got this everywhere down there at the Jewish charities, Catholic charities, is everywhere. You see shots with these women with kids, some of them their mothers, some of them aren't, some of them have kidnapped kids, it's been documented. But in these other cases, like you see in that car, there's no adult there. There's the taxi cab driver, and he comes back and forth all day getting children. And there's 4 little children in the hatchback and in the car, cramming them in there without their parents.
What did the cops say, Alex? I know you said call the cops. Did the cops show up? What did they say?
Yeah, we were totally banned off the internet other than banned.video and Infowars.com. And so those reports from 4 years ago, got millions of views on our site, but nowhere else. We should re-upload this report held today. I'll give it a headline and just show you a video. Unaccompanied children loaded into the trunk of a car on the Texas-Mexico border to be disappeared under the Biden administration. And yeah, the police came and said, there's nothing we can do. And then when I kept doing it, they started threatening us. And then that's like an hour later, we had an undercover deputy police chief, actually from a nearby town, inside the Catholic Charities, right in that door right there. And she came out crying, and she had it on audio. And there was this super creepy man, she said, inside there going, I came here for children. You promised me children. I have the piece of paper right here. I want little girls, unaccompanied. And then she goes back in. All of a sudden, he comes out like a rooster over her. And he comes over and he goes, what are you doing? Why do you got a problem? I'm going to teach these kids the way of the Lord. I'm going to teach them how to work. Nobody wants these kids, they're mine. And then reportedly, we got told later that day he waited around and got 3 little girls, looked like they were below 10, and disappeared to Pennsylvania with them. I mean, it's ultra creepy. And I said this in, we've been down there a lot. It takes years off my life when I'm down there because you want to physically attack these people and defend the children. And watching all the evil being accepted around you just sucks your soul. And I don't know how the people that do this full time, like you and Anthony Rubin and others, do it. I mean, I mean, it's one thing to hear about it and see it. You go down there, and they had black paint over all the windows of these old shut-down shopping centers that just goes for block after block. And you could look through a pinhole. We have video of this. We got to get all this back together and put it out because it's not been seen by anybody but our audience. And you could look through a pinhole, and I'd put a camera up to a pinhole, and then you just see all these kids, whole rooms, warehouses full of them, and all these fat, weird men and creeps in there with them that, you know, are the workers, and you just see what's going on, and it is absolutely horrifying. And then we get all this footage, we bring it back, and now I have such limited crew and staff, because they've crushed us down, that it would take, 5 people a week to go through all the stuff we've got. Yeah. I mean, Owen, myself, and again, there's a bunch of footage during the day I shot where I could put, particularly cell phones really good, right up to the tiny holes, because the kids will scratch holes in the paint.
In the paper.
Yeah, in the paper, so they can look out. And I mean, I've got hours of this, and whole rooms full of toddlers, babies. I mean, this is insane. Sorry, I have you on to be the guest, but this is just
Alex, you're blowing my mind. I've never seen this, and I do this for a living, so keep going, man.
Wow. I mean, it's bad. And then the Border Patrol whistleblowers come to our hotel and tell us that everything that's in the documents that you've got whistleblowers on and then they have to quit because they just, even though they're good insiders, they can't be part of it. And they literally hand it over, and then they run the place themselves and find out it's convicted pedophiles in some cases they're handing children to. And then you have the Biden administration covering up, again, the names they're given to. And then you document, it's not Congress as well, that the drug cartels work together now with the U.S. government in a policy of how to cover up the names to make sure they're disappeared. And then Biden secretly stopped the DNA testing to make sure that happened. That's something good Trump brought back, and this is evil.
So while you're sitting around waiting for your white hats that don't exist, what you were really watching were a couple of influencers like Tracy Beans and a few others making shit up, posting it. You think it's the Q. No. Now, the good people that were working jobs, not that they weren't, but I'm talking about the good people, police detectives, etc. Anybody decent who tried to go against this trafficking, especially under either one, Trump's limp first 4 years of, I'm such a smart businessman, but I was too stupid. And then Biden's years, boy, their business was booming, organ harvesting. And for those of you, again, I don't like Clone Jones. No, a lot of us don't. But the bottom line is still the same. You only get to do so much when it comes to the Irregular Warfare Directorate, okay? You're talking about our special operations. Yeah, and our signature reduction people with that green door some more. All right? Which is going to be your big-ass DHS, your biosurveillance. It's also going to be raw signals intelligence to the ATF, the DEA, anybody they want. And then you get to do whatever you want within the range of what the government tells you to do, which is to turn your face and deliver the product or let the traffickers deliver the product. Well, they're coming over the border like you didn't know. Because the people that are still out there doing the jobs, they're just turning their face on it. They know damn well what's going on. 2-3 years ago, like I said, Clone Jones here, he played a ton of clips and then stopped. Well, yeah, because he's only one component and he ain't the big cheese. They've been using him to complain, whine, misdirect, but they've also been using him, like he mentioned a long time ago, dual pieces or whatever, in order to propagate the different ways of showing off. In my opinion, because again, this is yesterday? No, 2 days ago. Pope dies. Here's Catherine Herridge rubbing in your face. We're never going to help you. We're just going to let your brain rot in your head. Then comes this, and then we'll get to yesterday, which is, who do we have? Well, it's Kathy O'Brien. And in each one of these examples, the guy on Catherine Herridge This here with the border issues, and then with Kathy O'Brien. Where's the Body Area Network? Where's the HOW? Oh, we got to tell you didn't tell the American people anything. You told them nothing. Nothing. How? HOW, are you doing this for all this time? Body Area Networks, 1995. How are you doing this signature management? Body Area Networks. And what are we going to be looking at when we're done with this? DNA radar for organ harvesting? Now it's you. You've spent my entire life, I'm 45 years old, turning your face and making excuses for why people would be afraid. And good job. You let them go to work and continue, and there is nothing you're going to do. Throughout human history, these people are never slowed down or stopped. And there's no awakening without all your anatomy, and that's a whole nother ball of wax that nobody wants to talk about. So, welcome to Humiliation Week. I'm looking forward to see what happens today, to rub your face in how, impotent the administration and everybody working jobs really is. Now, hang on, before you go, they were going to, excuse me, this is a group dynamic, like a group effort. They call it the Uniparty. They are not kidding. But it seems like a bunch of people divorced the brain, just took the brain right out of their head and went, I'm too stupid. Let someone else figure it out. Well, now it's going to be you. What happens when your DNA or someone close to you comes up on their radar for their billionaires, their millionaires? They're called stakeholders. Oh, well, I don't care. That's great. We have that as a problem too. But some of us do care. Now let's get to these numbers. I want you to see that, then we'll jump to Kathy. Then we're going to go straight to Ginkgo Bioworks because those of you that are OG synergists, welcome this morning. It's pretty intense. I'm not apologizing. Again, I am incensed. And to those of you that are new to my channel, well, it's just, we show it to you. I take you there. And you know what you tell us? All the time? I can't take it. Oh, it's too hard. Would you please grow up so those of us who also live here with children can finally, 40 years on, do something about the pedophile problem? No, it's good money, and they keep their mouths shut, and they work really hard. Clearly.
Yeah, and to add on to that, what you said about that guy saying, I'm here to get children, when Deborah White, the HHS whistleblower, was vetting the IDs, she's supposed to be doing the background checks and making sure that the men are the actual sponsor or the relative of the child. She said she got an ID. And there's a site called Renap where you can just basically go buy fake IDs. I went to New York City with Carlos Arellano and got a brand new identity from a Venezuelan gangbanger. It took me 15 minutes. I had a brand new identity that said I'm John Smith. So these people are applying for children with these fake IDs. And he took me to an apartment complex where there was a blank wall. They took my photo for the ID. Well, some of these people are using their cell phones and they're taking a selfie with curtains and drapes and bongs behind them, so it's obvious that it's a fake ID. And she brought it to her supervisors, and the supervisors at HHS told her that her job isn't to investigate the sponsor. Her job is to reunify the child with the sponsor. How do you know that's a fake ID? Did you go to the FBI identity school? Did you go, to college to check IDs? And she's like, no. They go back and do your job then. And she goes, but it has a bong in the background. And he goes, all right, fine, go ask him for a second ID. So she took the ID and called the embassy of Guatemala or wherever the ID was from. The embassy came back and told her it was a fraudulent ID. In the period it took for that ID to come back, the HHS coordinator told her, or her supervisor told her to go ask for a second ID. She calls the guy up and goes, hey, we're there's some issues with your ID. Do you have a second form of ID? He goes, what's wrong with that ID? I just paid $200 for it. That's how brazen these people are. I just bought an ID. I was told to give you an ID and I get a kid, so go get my kid. She came in the next day. Adriana Lynch, the HHS supervisor at the facility, told her that if she ever does that again and goes above her head and goes to an embassy, she'll be terminated on the spot. And then they took that case from her. And 2 days later, she checked the system and found out that kid was delivered to that adult. After our government knew that man was using a fraudulent ID, the supervisors authorized the delivery of that child to that man.
Well, Anthony Rubin got 8,000 names of hundreds of thousands recently, and they went to hundreds of houses, and most of them found nothing. And literal videos of the guy going, yeah, we got 2 little kids, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I don't know where I gave them to somebody. And then, so get out of here. And then they go to another house, it's like an 11-year-old girl pregnant. Yes, I prostitute now, 5 men, 10 men a day. In fact, you need to leave. They're coming to have sex with me. And
Now, when it comes to Clone Jones, again, we can get bitchy about all sorts of different things, but this particular shit, I was very keen to this because it was right around the time that I was making the decision to come online. My best friend was being murdered in the hospital with Run Death is Near, etc. And they really did. They told him, shut your mouth, InfoWars. We're not talking about this. Okay? And when it comes to people making excuses endlessly, you put it all on these people in law enforcement, HHS, etc. Well, with the general public dumbed down to the point that they are, with your stupid Q and all the rest of it, we as the American people, we could have done better. We chose not to. Then we chose to continue to lie for our jobs while our children are being suffused with artificial intelligence. And I don't just mean their eyeballs. It's cognitive neuroscience. See other videos. So when it comes to this particular situation, he said Pennsylvania, not the Philippines. This is Texas, Arizona. I lived in Arizona. It is that bad, and it's way worse in southern Texas. Who cares? You don't care because you're too busy on the keyboards with algorithms. But the sick part is the same people that keep ginning you up and taking your money and telling you all these ghost stories about white hats. That's your irregular warfare directorate with your clandestine services. Sorry, forgot that one. Your clandestine services are your clearances in the United States. That's how they're able to do what they do, in which the police department, the fire department, whoever it is, over here in the Citizen Corps, because it's not gang stalking, it's clearances. That's what the secret green door is all for with your intelligence community. Some more. And I wish to point out that your director of national intelligence is way up over here, next to the clowns and the DHS and everybody else. These are jobs. They're not going to do anything to bother their job. Not at all. Because they damn well know that the American public is full of customers that we call PDF files. And they're good with that. These customers never get caught, never get talked about. We don't give a shit. How many children are dying every day? Shut up. I'm busy scrolling my feed and talking about my Q-tarts and my Pleiadians. I'm an American. Peccata mundi domini. And the people that you're depending on, well, they don't exist. Every time here on the channel I go over this, you bunch of idiots scapegoat me for reading out loud to you with proper executive orders and divisions and software for what they're really using out there. I don't like her science. It's not mine. It's dhs.gov, dni.gov. We're going to be gov the entire way. fcc.gov. You see? Not a bit of this. Says Sabrina Wallace made this website. Okay? That's why I told you all. You don't need me. You need you. And when you talk about this stuff, you leave my name out of it. Because everybody wants to blame me for telling on them properly. Rather than jumping in, making a podcast, being all pretty, distracting you. Oh, I'll tell you more next week. And here's why I didn't do that. And before I hit play, please understand, I have medical records. I have court records from when I was literally 3 and 4 years old. Then when I'm older, the records of what they did when I was still an infant. I am so pissed off that General Flynn and his Flynn network is doing great. In fact, right now, they're helping the president. Same wrong tip of the spear. And I warned you all. I'm like, if you do not start talking about these body area networks, you, the American citizen, you're done. And now it seems like this week, every day, they're showing off how far along they are and how done everyone else really is. And out of the other side of their mouth, oh, we're getting them. They're on the run. No, they're not. You haven't done anything. And then other idiots. Well, you don't have to have a real ID. You can still use your passport. Future values go back to 2011. Where is the HOW with how you're doing all of this? Hear the birds? Could be crickets.
I mean, and it's just like, what? I mean, it's like, and then James O'Keefe came to Austin and San Antonio, just walks up 10-year-old girls, yes, I'm a sex slave, can someone save me? I was kidnapped in Guatemala, I want my mommy. I mean, it's just like, and the thing is, as you know, it ain't hard. You go to New York, you go to San Antonio, you go to Austin, you go to McAllen, it's like catching fish in a barrel. I mean, it's just, you go stand on the street and buses are coming in and vans and cars are zipping around and kids are being loaded in trucks and, I mean, you want to throw up.
It's a well-oiled machine, Alex, a full-scale military operation being carried out by multiple levels of our government to carry out an operation at this scale. How much time do I got before the next break, Alex?
5 minutes.
Okay, throw up that yellow spreadsheet really quick. So when you throw this on the screen, your audience is going to see over the last 4 years, our government has trafficked in 452,121 migrant children. These are children ages 0 to 17 that have arrived at our border without a parent. Out of that 452,121, our government has vetted the adult sponsor and delivered 350,000 of these children. This number comes from Tom Homan on December 14th of 2025. So this is from the top to top of the food chain. 350,000 of those children we gave to a man, a grown man that our government vetted, and we cannot locate that adult. So when you talk about a child trafficking and pipeline, right? Once a child is delivered into that pipeline and actually makes it across the border where he's delivered to a buyer in America, your audience has probably seen the movie Trafficked, right? There's 36 hours, he sets his watch, and he's got to find the kid in 36 hours. If he doesn't find the kid in 36 hours, then there's less than a 1% chance he's ever going to see that kid alive again. So that means that once they hit that pipeline, the child's life expectancy goes from 72 years to 36 months. So you can assume that from the day that these children were delivered, a time clock started, right? A 36-month expiration date. That child will most likely succumb to their illnesses because they've been raped to death, riddled with STDs, jaws broken. They don't take these kids to the hospital when they abuse them and beat them up. And then they just succumb to their illnesses. And when they can't turn them out for tricks anymore, you know exactly what they do with them, Alex. They harvest their organs.
After they're sold to make a snuff film that can be purchased online.
So that means that because this administration didn't kick in doors day one, right? Day one, we should have policies in place to go rescue these children. And I'm not giving Trump a hard time. I'm just trying to make this so obvious so that he does see what a major issue this is. 21,575 children could have been rescued and saved that have now hit their expiration date. And these are FBI statistics. These are HHS's number. 21,500.
Who is the HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services? Well, we can't find them. We can't verify their ID. We just don't know what we're doing. But we can harass American citizens, sit there with Cyber Command, harass people online, elevate stupid psychological operations that everybody knows are total bullshit, from the hackers to everybody else. We can lie about everybody and keep dancing the politicians, forcing our shit show movie down the throats of our own people and tell them you deserve it. Why? Didn't anybody think of that? Why? You mean to tell me that you can't use the same software that you've got over here over top of the populace that you won't talk about? 30 years, by the way. How quickly we forget. Commercials, you know? It's in the commercial world, people. This isn't hidden in a deep underground bunker. This is available to companies since 1995. 3 decades. Oh, wow, look what they can do. They've had this since the Rodney King riots, Stingray and Dirtbox, all separated out. It's all absolutely commercial. That's why Hegseth and NATO and everybody working with all the mesh networking. Let's watch it again, because you have to understand. You've got to put your brain in your head. This is what juxtaposition talks about when he says you're falling for the potato in the tailpipe. Oh, there's nothing we can do. The reason we're in this position is not just money. These people are laughing at everybody. I am 45 years old. Not only has nothing changed, it is even more ingrained, normalized, and everybody busy looking the other way, man. I gotta get mine. What's your side hustle? Pimping out a 7-year-old? Where are the customers? You'll never know. I think this is the spot where he tells you those numbers again. Watch this.
270 migrant children have potentially been raped to death that could have been saved But because of the inactions of RFK, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the Trump administration not making this the #1 top priority, we didn't bring those children home. And you know, just like I do, Anthony Rubin was able to go get addresses and find these children. We had the geolocation data of every cell phone that was used for a month. The people that received these children were in communication with HHS for at least 2 weeks. So we have their geolocation data at least from that 2-week period. Every movement that these people received a child, we have their geolocation data. We know where we were supposed to be delivering these children to. We have an idea of where these children might be. And we need the teams and resources and the full weight of the FBI to come down and absolutely crush this network. Because every day that we don't, Alex, 350,000 divided by 1,460 days means that on average, our government was delivering 240 children per day into this network of pedophiles. You had showed the last month of the Biden administration there was 5,131. That means that month, the last month of the Biden administration, we were delivering 179 children per day to an adult without doing a DNA testing, without doing any background checks, or properly making sure that this child was safe. So that means 179 children, even on Trump's first month in office, were getting delivered into this network. And those children that got delivered on Trump's first day, the 179, you can set the stop clock to their life. In 36 months, they will expire. And if we don't save them in the first weeks, you know, just like I do, Alex, the damage that's done to that poor little child that's chained in a basement and raped 7 to 10 times a day. And then at the end of the night, when the man comes and throws her plate of food on the floor, he rapes her and he puts a cigarette butt out of her arm. Every single night when they rescued this poor little girl, her arms, Alex, were covered in scars. And when they asked the scumbag why he did that, you want to know what he said? He said, in case you ever saved her or she ever escaped, I wanted that poor little girl to be reminded of how I savagely raped her every night. And that's the type of people that these children are getting delivered to. That's a real story. That girl was rescued by a gentleman named Basil Baz. And I mean, I could go on and on, Alex, but we need people like you to put this on their radar.
So instead of being, because geospatial location with people who have much lesser availability to these massive ass databases that DHS has, and so do other parts of the intelligence community, what are they using them for? Well, they're not using them for going after those people that are putting cigarette butts out and making good money on them snuff films on the internet. Here's what they're using them for.
Central Command Platform gives key decision makers easy access to advanced surveillance options. Using the icons at the top, we can toggle the visibility of the subject we want to view. We'll tap the human icon to activate their visibility. This gives us a real-time view of all the subjects in our jurisdiction. Let's use the search bar to find a specific subject. Here, we can search by typing in the name of a subject or search with an image of the subject's face. First, let's try typing in the name of our subject. In this case, there were 2 people with the same name found in our jurisdiction. We can tap a subject's live location to see more details. We can now see the live location and source details of the person we tapped on, with options to see more details to help us determine if this is our subject. To search by face, let's say we have an image of the subject. We can source this from a surveillance integration or by manually uploading an image. Using face search, we can find the exact person who matches the face of our subject. Let's say our subject is suspected of committing a crime last night. We can use the AI chat to see where he was at the time of the crime. The chat will respond and show us the exact location on the map. Let's say we have a crime report that tells us the suspect fled the scene at 9:30. Let's use the timeline tool to go to exactly 9:30. We can see that it matches the report. He's leaving the bar. Let's see where he is right now by using the timeline tool to go back to live. We can use the chat to automate the next steps, such as requesting an arrest warrant and sending units to the area once we receive it. The chat will automatically create an action plan and execute the plan for you as soon as you give the approval. It'll notify the relevant parties, execute according to your department's protocol, and custom integrations with your current services, allowing you to keep your jurisdiction safe and secure right from the palm of your hand with the Central Command Platform.
Those databases he's referring to. There you go. Biosurveillance for biosecurity, cyber biosecurity. You got it. Since 1995. So, then we get yesterday. Oh, I'm back.
and prostituted to pedophile leaders as a little bitty child. Mackinac Island, Michigan.
I want to go through all these places when we come back, but just hold that right there. We're right about 3 minutes, but I want you to continue and go into detail. We got all the time you need here. But again, look at the Catholic Church. They'll use any big institution, the Boy Scouts. They've taken, I mean, how many institutions, even when you were being tortured 35, 40, 50 years ago, I mean, what percentage of these have been partial infiltrated or totally taken over?
A lot of them have been infiltrated horrifically. You know, the Catholic Church, now that will be quite a topic right there, because my father was trained by Cardinal Law on how to raise me in MK Ultra. Cardinal Law came out in the Catholic child abuse scandal some years ago before he was just transferred to the Basilica in Rome. You know, I mean, it's just been going on a long time. The infiltration has gone unchecked for so long that these places now are very much saturated with this kind of abuse. We've got a long way to go to clean this mess up. Let's start with the FBI, the CIA, and our school systems and our churches. Yeah, we got quite a ways to go.
We're only bringing 2 minutes. And I want to comment about Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Steve Jobs' widow, Epstein Island. What politicians, who name names here, of people, what you witnessed is incredible information at ties not all vindicated. But Omaha, Nebraska, DeCamp exposing it, Ted Gunderson and others. Why does Omaha keep coming up? Can you just talk about that briefly?
Franklin.
Well, the Franklin scandal was a massive one that was coming out at the same time. And of course, I knew Ted Gunderson real well, and John DeCamp, and the Paul Bonacci of the Franklin scandal had named my handler, Alex Houston, as his abuser. And as a matter of fact, Alex Houston was in Boys Town at the time in Nebraska when Mark Phillips lifted my daughter and me right out of our MK Ultra mind control victimization. You know, so it figures in very strongly. It's one of those powerful truths that needs to come to light.
Incredible. You know, we're so thankful to you, and we're so thankful to them.
It's a dark, negative vibration energy force that has been infiltrating governments and all things sacred my whole life. And
with all due respect, Kathy, you need to do better, because I'm real tired of seeing you out here telling everybody it's MK Ultra and it's a dark force, when in reality, that's our wireless body area network with our satellites looking right through your multi-input, multi-output butt for all sorts of radar. Human radar. So while you've been out there for 40 years or 20 years or whatever it's been, and you're the only one allowed to talk, and throughout this interview yesterday, oh, it's a dark force, it's a spiritual war, we're over here on the Synergy channel blowing the whistle as hard as we know how, because I'm not a whistleblower. I'm simply a person that knows how to read. I am an adult. I have no time for all your psyops and your stupidity. That is not an F-35. This is a single moving person trying to walk through their own house. And instead, they're going to be watched with everything in their home and exposed to that same electrocution that Catherine Herridge was talking to a victim of, because, you know, we'll just forget about you with those long duration hits that we heard about a year ago in Congress, and we won't talk about that. We're not going to talk about the bans. We're going to talk about weird spiritual MK Ultra for 45 plus minutes, wrong tip of the spear, so that those in the Vatican can laugh their ass off and humiliate everybody? Yeah. Human activity recognition radar. I'm gonna get the net on the dog's ass. How come none of you can talk about this? Because you don't give a shit. You are not gonna convince me that you care about children if this is not what's coming out of your mouth. Because this is where the problem is. This is the HOW. The hackers are silent. The politicians are silent. The intelligence community's totally full of shit. They're always telling you some new, oh, look, we're standing in front of the White House with our binders. Oh, we're gonna... You're not doing anything. You're playing the same stupid games for stupid prizes. That thing that people say, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Meanwhile, while you're doing that, everybody's, oh, you don't really need a real ID. No, you already have one. You just don't know what cyber biosecurity is. But they do at the FBI. And they do over here at the with these executive orders, your W-band blockchain with the crypto czar in the White House, all of it. And then the excuse is going to be made that, well, we've got to deport the migrants. Oh, we're so stupid and powerless. Just to make sure that they can watch you. They're not interested in going after anybody who's doing anything wrong for real. They want every American citizen right there. And in case you didn't notice it, for whatever reason, the device is your wireless body area network. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We know. In every direction, that's exactly what they're using. Yeah. And it's been around for 30 years. So you would think that would be the first thing that everybody would have went, oh, we're having an awakening. We're going to fight back for real. Nope. We're going to protect the sensor hunters. We're going to call it portals instead of biosensors. We're going to lie about the biosensors, our warfare doctrine. We're going to leave the American populace red shirts in their own homes, known as a kill box. We're going to lie about that too. And all the while, take the cue with the chat app and a few of those same types of people holding the binders of Epstein in front of the White House to stall, pacify, and control. Just sit, just wait, just sit, just wait, just sit, just sit, just wait. And while that's going on, over here at the GitHub with Ryan and Sal, Batman and Robin on the X, they have uncovered more software that is going to make you want to throw up than you can possibly imagine. We barely touched on it yesterday. Barely. And what is it? How does it work? The satellites are watching you. Oh, not me. No, I'm different. Nope, not me. They left me out. And I'm like, y'all, nobody is left out. This is your new healthcare. Oh, no, I just won't sign up. You won't have a choice. This is what you're doing to those of us who have children that are 11, 15, 20 years old. Yep. And you wonder why here on our channel, we're done with you. We know that you're covering up. I mean, and when it comes to this stuff for healthcare, we're all the way back into 2012. And even when we take you here, you still sit there and act like morons. It can't be. Yeah, because Barry Wolfman, the chief executive officer and managing director of George Washington University Hospital, back here, all the way back in 2012, I forgot. Everybody's LARPing.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here with us today. My name is Barry Wolfman. I am the Chief Executive Officer for George Washington University Hospital, and I'm honored and glad to be able to welcome you to this event. We're here today to discuss medical body area networks, or M-bands, which I like a lot better than medical body area networks, than the wireless technology. A medical body area network is defined as a small-scale network that provides short-range wireless connections among devices in proximity to a patient. Wireless monitoring is increasingly used for a wide variety of applications, such as physiological health monitoring, primarily vital signs, heart rate, respiration, body temperatures, and the potential and the future of this technology is very, very promising. With any new technology, there are often complicating issues. Just think of the multiple manufacturers with different products using different wireless bandwidths, all in proximity of one or more patients. To ensure any wireless medical device works efficiently and effectively, manufacturers need to ensure they won't be interrupted by other devices using the same airspace. The FCC plays a pivotal role and has been discussing wireless medical bandwidths for some time with medical technology companies such as GE and Philips, who are with us today.
Are they LARPing? No, they're doing business. So, rub it in everybody's face some more and send out this MK Ultra. It's spiritual. They're the dark forces. Boy, I tell you, let me see how this works. Here we are at Rutgers University. at the Cyber Physical Systems Laboratory in 2010. Wireless body area sensor networks for biomedical applications. See, that's what you're going to find from our channel. Let me see if I can figure this out. MK Ultra, not the movie. Good Lord. Some experiment program. Prisoner in Chief, the CIA's quest for mind control. Oh, MK Ultra, movies, entertain me. Yeah, well done. But it's CIA.gov. Right, and where does it tell you HOW? Nowhere, okay? So now let's try dark spiritual forces. This is why your family members, your friends, and everybody else is sitting on their ass, distracted, watching the chat apps with the fake Q because they don't believe you. Oh, the white hats, I'm so powerless. That's because the population in mass has been pacified and controlled. They're convinced the white hats are coming. The Q did the damage. There's so many people out there, you cannot convince them that the Q is not real. They won't let go. It is now a spiritual thing for them to believe that somebody else is going to do the work that all of us should have been doing 20 years ago. But the hackers were silent, the energy workers were silent, and sold their information into these assays and arrays that are already through Congress, through the FDA, and the rest of everybody. What are you going to do? I'm going to yell at you with Bible verses. I'm going to drive more division. We're going to have circular arguments, and it will never end, and you have no damn idea. There is nothing here with this search or the last one that is going to bring you to reality. Nothing. So the police that are investigating that don't like this stuff, well, that's what this is for. Along with those clandestine clearances and that nice little green door. If you do something that they don't like, a higher clearance than you is going to take you out. So there's where your white hats went, lifelong. I watched it up until I was 11 years old. Dead, dead, dead. Or worse. Then they come after your children. Oh, well, but what are we going to do? Well, wait till we get to the part where it's really going to come into focus. Because if you think that these people are doing anything less than the following: regenerative medicine. Do you know what that is? Do you understand what this is? This is life extension technology. No, of course not. You're sitting there going, what the heck is that? Like cell therapy, tissue engineering with gene therapy? But they're going to turn off the shots. They're putting in legislation to get rid of the shots. Okay. Tell you what. Let's see. Cyber bio interface. Are they getting rid of that? No. This is doing great. This is part of what I'm about to show you next. Because if you think that the Ka-band radar, in which they're looking through multi-input, multi-output, your body, while you're walking through your house, if you think that's bad, you just wait. Because this radar, this is satellite, going right down to the molecular level, no privacy, no Fourth Amendment, they're under your skin. Then you're going to whip around and go, oh, get me off the database. Doesn't work that way. They're watching the biological signals coming out of your body all the time. Going to conferences for 18 plus years, not a big deal. It's business. Pete Hegseth, get the corporations in here. It's business. Okay? So you don't know what regenerative medicine is, and you have no idea what a biocyber interface is, because for 5 years they covered that up, screaming vaccine, bioweapon. Do you see any of that here? No. You're not going to see that here. Welcome to Cambridge. See, at the universities all over the world, they're working with the Internet of Bio-Nano things. And then there was that problem. I said it's not just nano, but it's 7 letters and a period. This is another official website of the United States government that none of your truthers, nobody could talk about. All of your money, tax dollar wise, has been here for life extension technology with synthetic biology. Now that we've had a vertical integration of the economy, they're melting down anything real. And you will be with the blockchain czar in the White House. You're already on the blockchain for your electronic health records. You just don't know it yet, unless you've been watching Sal and Ryan over on the X. So your tax dollars, in tandem with the ability to have DNA radar and what we're going to go over next, I hope you can appreciate why, Kathy, honey, you need to either sit down and retire or whoever is handling you. Could you update your terminology? Otherwise, this is called a humiliation ritual. Look at this old woman. Look what we got away with. Look at how she is now. We got away with it all. She can't speak about anything real. But we can trot her out there whenever we feel like it. Rub it in your face. Got away with it all. Including the Franklin stuff, the Boys Town. Boy, that sounds familiar. Why? We're going to rub it right in your face. Because we love you so much.
Government, you dealt with highly classified information.
We walked in on an operation that the hostile country was doing.
So you were attacked by a hostile intelligence service.
Right.
It fundamentally disrupts the brain network
Yes, ma'am.
and can cause brain cell death.
Yes, ma'am.
We'd applied for workers' compensation. The agencies involved did everything they could to not approve my application.
You were denied 3 times for workman's comp.
Right. All these people being injured, and you're just saying, no, it didn't really happen.
I have a letter here from one of the country's leading Parkinson's experts. I can state that Mr. Beck has a much more clearly documented exposure to a microwave weapon than those patients described in either the literature or the media. Mr. Beck clearly merits the recognition that his Parkinson's disease and its associated symptoms are due to his government service. Mike, do you think it's a government cover-up?
Yes.
Oh, but these are the reports that are credible, and we can listen to that. Good. I'm going to make you listen again to this then.
Weapons, aren't they? They don't leave behind bomb fragments, bullet holes, etc. They could absolutely be used by our adversaries and have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
And so what have you turned it into today? Courtesy of doing this garbage, nobody knows what's really going on. You have databases. You have more databases. You have signals intelligence to parallel construct anything you want. 702 is expanded. They're going to argue about that for another year. We found that out in Congress a couple weeks ago. Excuse me. You have your FBI eGuardian program, Sentinel. You have the DNI, making sure everybody can get their job done, with the Regular Warfare Technical Support Directorate and your Signature Reduction Force. You have your M-Band since 2012. But with all of that, HHS is dumb as a post. Other people taking video, other people doing geolocation, because our own government, our own nation, cannot do their jobs. No, they are. They're doing what they're told by people like the Flynn Network that are everywhere, like that guy showed. They're all in it together. They're all making money, keeping everybody pacified and controlled. How long have you been doing this with companies? 1995. You think you could tell anybody? No, because we've got human activity recognition radar building databases from what's under your skin. And I said, what the hell are you really doing with this? And everybody else out there had different examples of Reptar, aliens, and I'm like, no, DNA, origami, all these other things. We're talking about regenerative medicine. Yup. And I said, that's life extension technology. Yeah, but it's a vaccine, and they're going to turn it off. Well, they can discontinue handing out their fakeness, if you ask me, because of a bunch of different reasons, but that's neither here nor there for this discussion. Excuse me, but one thing you're not going to do is get them to turn off the biocyber interface. It's big business, remote health monitoring, Agenda 2030 goals, got massive market share. You're not turning it off. You're training college students out there. All the conferences, and there's a ton of them, worldwide are still doing fine, and you're the ones that paid for all this. Not them. You, the taxpayer. Because they love you. I would say they love taking your money. And now they're going to take your children worse than what they've been doing for 10 years. Put your headset on. Bye. Mommy, I want to upload to the cloud. It's not here. They don't know. 20-year-old concept. Merge you with the digital. Okay? So, this needs to stop. This is humiliating for every single one of us that knows damn well this does nothing but do exactly what she talks about. Oh, it's traumatizing. Oh, it's so traumatizing. So she, in this interview, traumatizes the crap out of anybody talking about General Ford and, oh, all these politicians and just terrible, horrible things. Yeah, that's called traumatizing people. So you're doing exactly what you claim the MK Ultra program does. No papers, no HOW, no nothing. Nothing except platitudes about its spiritual darkness. Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look at what it might really be. Growl. It's my mouse. Hang on.
Milliard? Just ask Dean Kamen and his company, Army.
We will be soon manufacturing cells, tissues, and organs to change the quality of life for people that need it.
The biofabrication industry could bring 7,000 direct jobs to the area and another 37,000 indirect jobs. But that means the need for better infrastructure to support the growth.
What Army is doing now with 200 members is creating an explosion of opportunity here, but it's put us under stress for childcare, for housing, to create the workforce of the future.
That's where a $44 million federal grant for the area comes in, announced today in Manchester.
President Biden and Vice President Harris, since the start of this administration, have been focused on harnessing the American innovation that we see here in Manchester and spreading economic opportunity to every corner of the country.
Funded by the CHIPS Law, the program is aimed at supporting economic development at 12 newly designated tech hubs around the country, including what's being called Regen Valley in southern New Hampshire.
And it's so exciting because this award recognizes the enormous potential of southern New Hampshire as a leader in regenerative medicine technologies and therapies.
In all, the Commerce Department is awarding more than $500 million to 12 tech hubs around the country. There were more than 400 applicants. In all, the Commerce Department.
The enormous potential of southern New Hampshire as a leader in regenerative medicine technologies and
Hey, Kathy, did you catch that? Not only did they not slow down, not only did you help them get it done. Sorry, but you are. What did I say? Right away. Life extension technology, regenerative medicine. What did you say? What you've been saying for 20 years. Because you're the only one they trot out there to keep everyone terrified, traumatized, and stuck. What a surprise. Oh, we ain't done. We are not done. So, July 2nd, 2024, Regen Valley, $44 million through the Federal Tech Hubs program, biofabrication. We're just going to make cells. Yeah. Yup. Now, normies, these are news clips in case you missed it.
Also known as Army, will receive a grant worth nearly $44 million to help advance biofabrication science happening in the Queen City. The company produces human organs, cells, and tissues. U.S. Deputy Commerce Secretary Don Graves and Senator Jean Shaheen were at the Regen Valley Tech Hub in Manchester for today's announcement.
this is about the good jobs that are going to be created here in New Hampshire because of the innovation that's going on, the real game changer in terms of how we provide health care for people in so many ways.
It's putting this
Whoa. What did we tell you here on the channel? It's a biocyber interface. Precision AI healthcare. That's a senator, in case you missed it. Did you miss it? Nobody gonna get a choice. Nobody gonna get a choice.
People in so many ways.
It's putting this region on the map.
For today's announcement.
This is about the good jobs that are going to be created here in New Hampshire because of the innovation that's going on, the real game changer in terms of how we provide health care for people in so many ways.
It's putting this region on the map, not just across the United States, but globally in driving this life-altering technology.
Gen Valley Tech Hub was selected as one of the 31 designated tech hubs across the country.
That would be 9 months ago, okay? One more time for all of you that seem completely brain dead. Whether it's from scrolling, you're traumatized, whatever it is, you need to be the ones to now step up and explain why after 3 years for me, 5 years for non-vaxxer 420, why is it that you are unable to read websites that are .gov? Damn it. Why? This is 2012 with the FCC, an official website of the United States government. But you can't listen, you can't read, you are too dumb, you can't read a diagram from Cambridge. But the college students can. They can go do the work, but not you. You can't look up cyber or cyber biointerface, medical body area network. That's all we asked you to do. 4 words. Type it in yourself. It'll tell you this stuff about, technical things. And you can't read that paragraph. That's okay. I'm serious. It's not your job. It's not your industry. That I understand. Excuse me. So I said, click on images. What do you see? Your body tethered to the internet. Then there's the market share, which is everywhere. But you couldn't do it. Instead, you had to talk endlessly about my hair and anything else you could do to distract. Well, gee, could that have anything to do with the money you just heard about 9 months ago? You think? Well, I'm an American. Follow the money. Well, you're doing a really awful job.
On the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Morgan.
All right, so walk me through this partnership that you struck with Google, because it looks like you're going to pay Google an escalating minimum amount over the course of 5 years, and then Google, based on undisclosed business milestones, has the possibility of putting money back into Ginkgo as well. So what is this going to enable?
Yeah, so the number one thing it enables is it gets us access to the infrastructure at Google, right? And the reason this is exciting is, folks have gotten to learn more and more about how these AI models work, right? And to give you an example, something like ChatGPT, basically this big computer brain, it was fed a bunch of English language books and other text, and it learned to speak English. And the idea behind our project with Google is to take that same kind of computer brain, instead of giving it books written in English, give it books written in DNA. So the genomes of all the organisms that are out there in nature. And the idea is it'll learn.
Well, they don't have anything like that at the Department of Energy, do they? No. Because you've been busy listening to another information operation held up by the Department of Defense tell you, oh, we have doctors. We know all about the Department of Energy Genomes Online Database, HOW. More birds. They've been all around all of you, misleading you, keeping you off your game, and laughing at you the entire way. Well, the AI can't really get into our DNA. Oh my goodness. Woosah. So here's your bacterium, right? And everybody thinks it's only nano. It's only nano that they're working with. Nope, they're working with molecular communication. We tried to tell you. Bacteria-based biosensors. Same people with your Department of Defense information operation. Same people, good friends with your team from Morocco. Same people, all connected. And what they tell you, there are no biosensors. Wow, that's incredible. Somebody needs to let Georgia Institute of Technology, Northeastern University, Johns Hopkins, and Emory University know that they're LARPing. Same thing with Cambridge and the genomic databases they have access to through our Department of Energy. Somebody should probably let all these people know that this is not real. It's not really happening. They've been telling you that too. All of them. You starting to see how this works? If you don't read for yourself, they're not going to tell you because they're making money off your ignorance. And you're making excuses. But the white hats, and they're gonna just stop filling their bank accounts? Come on, Americans, follow the money, please. Business and industry are doing great. College students, right now today, they're learning all this stuff. They're good. The way they're going to save the world is to log in and do things to your cells. The doctors and the nurses have been involved this whole time. And yet, some magical way, when we showed this 9 months ago, oh, you should have heard the squawking and the screaming. That's impossible. They can't read our DNA. Yeah, they can. So much so, they're selling access to it. 23andMe and see other videos on the Synergy Rumble. They've already done it. Years ago, they made a ton of money. You thought you were just submitting your DNA to find out your ancestry. Nope. They've been busy making sure that they can practice eugenics on the click of a button press.
Learn to speak DNA just like ChatGPT learned to speak English. And DNA is behind half of your therapeutic drugs, many of your foods, new materials, and things like that. And the hope is this model could ultimately do that job better than, a scientist trying to write that DNA by hand. And that's the project with Google. And by doing this scale of deal, where we are committing to $250 million of spend over the next 5 years, we build that asset for our customers here at Ginkgo, and they can access it as a service.
Yeah, and I know you sit on quite a bit of data. It sounds very promising. We've had a number of investors who've come on and said biotech, for example, is one of those key near-term areas where you're going to see generative AI realized. So how quickly does this become a money-making endeavor for you?
Yeah, so these models take a little bit of time to train, but not that long. Even these big foundation models being trained on huge amounts of English language data are trained over 3 or 6 month periods, right? So we do expect to be able to have models get out there. Ginkgo uniquely has a platform business model where we can go out and get service fees and ultimately get royalties from our customers. So we have the go-to-market channels for this already, which we think is pretty unique in biotech.
So then is this a new revenue stream, or does this build on the revenue streams you have already?
It should expand the ones we have already. Now, we are looking, and this is something we're really excited about. Google has the ability to launch models in their sort of marketplace. And I think that if that is successful, we'll be trying that out as part of this partnership. That would be a new type of revenue stream for Ginkgo. And that's just a new area right now. Even on top of these sort of generative English language models, people are still trying to figure out what are the right business models. We're going to run that same experiment in the biotech industry through our partnership with Google.
Okay, so as you make these investments, as you build out these models, how do you balance that against your current book of business? You've got the synthetic biology, but you have the biosecurity business, which grew strongly during the pandemic, but is now lapping some of those figures and has fallen off as we've seen demand for some of your products around that wane. You're not making money yet, but I know you're sitting on a cash pile. So how does all this play out?
Yeah, so we ended last quarter with $1.1 billion in the bank, so that's a good margin of safety for us to build all this stuff out over time. So biosecurity, just to bring it up, we have a program with the CDC where we look at wastewater from planes, and then we read the DNA of what's in there to look for emerging pathogens. And we're expanding that internationally now as well. We have large programs in Qatar, a number of other countries as well. And so we see that as really a persistent, think of it like radar stations monitoring the weather and also looking, for defense applications like military and so on. We should have similar bioradar stations. And absolutely, being able to interpret that DNA sequence data, one of the things that would run through is AI models like the ones we're talking about here with Google. So we do think it's a nice fit for the biosecurity business.
Biosecurity business. But I didn't consent. Well, they don't care. Nobody wanted to talk about any of this. None of it. Every time myself and non-vaxxer 420 tried, they came harder with more excuses as to why. Nobody should be talking about this. The World-Changing Science of Organ Manufacturing with Dean Kamen, 2024. Peter and Dean discuss the future of organ manufacturing, moonshots, and more. The race to technical competence. And for those of you that haven't been on the channel, it's Synergy on the Rumble, and I would get busy. Just stick it in your ear where you can, or download the TechMetric PDF, whatever it's going to take. Because unfortunately, the other people out there, that's one last thing before I forget. Anybody who tells you sentient world simulation, I've been over this so many times. MK Ultra, they're keeping you stupid. So here's this guy who's still making money off your ignorance. He's been bullshitting the entire time. I never bring him up, but somebody left this and mentioned that now, here we are, a day ago, more humiliation for all of you out there who are letting this go on. No, for the people that you're taking advantage of that think your white hats are real. Or that you're going to do something different than what you've been doing with life extension technology. It's the sentient world simulation, says the monkey works. That's incredible. Let me show you how fraudulent this is. Then we're going to watch our video. Can you see it? 20 years ago. But it says Purdue and the DOD and the National Science Foundation. Yeah. 20 years ago? 21 years ago? Uh-huh. Okay. This is not what it's called today. So then you'll tell me, well, it's been upgraded to this. The Global Information Grid. No, this is old now too. And I'm sure watching him, he ain't mentioning this. I watched the clip, not a word. Nothing. So, sorry, you're being misled again because you don't know anything about what it really is with the Jats. And that would be the Doden. Let me help you with another Department of Defense instruction this time instead of directive. That's what DODI stands for. 801001. You know, this is a warfare doctrine with autonomous weapons. Nobody cares. This is a warfare doctrine weaponizing your own cells against your own body. Nobody cares. Boy, isn't that something? Huh? And then continue rolling out there screaming MK Ultra, spiritual warfare, and synthetic environment and world simulation. The sentient world simulation. Could you please tell them about the kill box, the W-band, the way we aim and fire today? No. Okay. Could you tell them that their body is tethered to the cloud today since 95? No. Okay. This is Cyber Command. It's not a joke. With your Doden. What are you doing? Oh, I forgot. You're making money. Bullshitting people. The Sentient World Simulation is a project developed by the U.S. Department of Defense. And this is April 18th, 2025 from somewhere. To create a digital copy of the real world, aiming to test Psyops. Wrong. This doesn't exist this way. I don't know what website it is, but it is wrong. Sorry. You have an FDA Modernization Act already passed through Congress in 2022 for a computer model called a digital twin. The digital twins are robust. This isn't something that they just grabbed out of the hopper. This is 50 years of development. Your sentient world simulation was done in 2004, moved into the global information grid. Now here's you with signals going to and from your body area network. Yeah, terminology matters. 2021. And then the modeling software that they're using isn't the sentient world simulation. That would be your IIT-SEC, the professional version of what they use. Here's one of their conferences in 2023, where digital twin simulations have been simmering for half a century. That's 50 years. Wow, that was hard. Wasn't it, Mr. Making money off of people, keeping them busy, believing in white hats, Gitmo, Hillary bullshit this whole time? Good job. He's got 747,000 followers who don't know a damn thing that this has already passed through Congress with that digital twin for the Siemens Healthineers. Forgot that one. Apologies.
The digital patient twin. a digital likeness of an actual human, built from millions of data points and created by artificial intelligence. This is still a vision of the future, but at Siemens Healthineers, we think patient twinning could be a key component in a number of pioneering breakthroughs in healthcare. Why? Well, because it could help sick people get back to their normal lives in the shortest possible time. Or ideally, it could prevent people from getting sick in the first place. We know that sounds like a big dream, but let's take a look at how it might actually work. Of course, it's all about data. A patient twin will be constructed from a person's long-term medical history and their digital patient record. Data from medical exams and sensors like wearable devices will update this information by providing medical and lifestyle data in real time. AI algorithms will continuously match this data with comparable data sets. They will create simulations, for example, on the patient's future health status, and provide actionable insights that can be used for decision support. The patient twin can never be a standalone solution. It will only work as part of an ambient network of digital twins, whether it's twins of patients, physicians, or even digital twins of medical devices. For medical devices, this network would enable a personalized, automated configuration. So all settings would automatically fit the specific needs of the patient to minimize unwarranted variations. What advantages would patient twinning technology have for the individual patient? The patient twin continuously monitors the health and lifestyle data of the real person. It could present the data obtained from evaluations and simulations in a way that is easy to understand. This information could give the real person an impetus to adjust their lifestyle or go for a medical checkup. So the technology can empower patients to self-manage their health. And by being able to take preventive measures in a timely manner through continuous monitoring, the real person might be prevented from getting sick in the first place. Even if there is an emergency situation, the patient twin could intervene immediately, for example, by alerting an ambulance, notifying family and caregivers, and transmitting all patient data to the clinic. So everything would be in place, and with the help of AI, any medical device would be set exactly to meet the patient's needs before the patient even arrives. This means that patients could receive the best possible treatment anywhere, at any time, and from any caregiver. A patient twin could also support caregivers. For example, it could offer physicians clearly displayed information about their patient's health condition and provide actionable insights for decision support. So physicians could arrive at an appropriate diagnosis and targeted treatment options for each of their patients, based on the precise data from the patient twin that allows automated configurations of medical devices. Even remote intervention supported by robotic technologies may be possible. Always, of course, under the constant supervision of real-life experts. In this way, the patient twinning concept will free up valuable time for caregivers, which they can use to focus on their patients, with deeper anamnesis, discussions, and clarifications. And for the healthcare system as a whole, this technology could provide better outcomes at a lower cost. Imagine personalized precision medicine becoming a reality. Imagine humanizing medtech for everyone, everywhere, with the help of patient twinning. Everyone.
Excuse me. So, there's your digital twin. Aren't you just so excited to have somebody else logging in? But that's impossible. Nope. 2022 got a big old database. Nope. FBI been doing it since 1995. Nope. DHS working with the hackers. They're good. It's Stratcom. It's Irregular Warfare Technical Support Directorate with all of our clearances. Or maybe it's the hospital and the doctors. Or the Department of Health and Human Services. Hang on. Look at all the tabs. Could be Cambridge University, nano.gov, Cyber Physical Systems Laboratory with NIST, which is your Department of Commerce. But one thing it is not is unknown to your government. You want to come out of the they're all psyops. No, there are people that are taking advantage of the fact that you're not reading for yourself. And then people get upset because they're like, how am I supposed to know all this when they're all lying in one big group? Because they're making so much money off of keeping you stupid while they go to work. Or there wouldn't be these huge groups of people called targeted individuals. So the organ harvesting that they had going on this whole time, and also using people like MonkeyWorks here to keep you stupid, believing in Gitmo and white hats, their chat apps. And then we have an Epstein binder. They're rubbing it in your face because they know that you're not going to do a damn thing. Your friends and family are working jobs in which they're making tons of money. All they got to do is look the other way. Well, look the other way no longer, because the booming industry for regenerative medicine, that would be where you live forever. Because you're going to upload to the cloud. It's called human augmentation, and you're going to tell us, yeah, so they've been doing great with all the organ harvesting, and it's only going to improve. You know why? Because now they're going to harvest it right out of you. Welcome to your new precision AI health care. Biosensors aren't real. Buy my magic pendant, get my magic paperweight, drink my magic potion. You can't escape your own blood flow and your own heartbeat, but like I said, lots of people making money off of keeping you stupid. So, human augmentation, over here in good health and well-being, the governments decided they didn't want the opinion of ethicists or you, the public, and it has market share. Welcome to regenerative medicine out there. Don't worry, the Joint Force All-Domain Command and Control with U.S. Cyber Command is doing great, handing out and watching the back end of all these secret systems get that gnat on a dog's ass. Can you find the PDF files? I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never been able to find a PDF file since the 70s. But we love you. Why don't you send MonkeyWorks out there to tell them about the Sentient World Simulation from 2004? That way, just like with Kathy O'Brien, when they go to look it up, it doesn't have anything real. They don't know shit about the global information grid being updated to the Doden. Nothing. Because even if they knew global information grid, they could come here to images and they could find the kill box. Nope. Nope. Keep them stupid. That way they're just sitting in their kill box, 2005. And that's your global discrete grid that we used for GPS. Well, welcome to you with our satellites, like the Ka band, that can find you. It ain't a problem. It's just a satellite. And those Ka band satellites are going to be looking right through your multiple input, multiple output air molecules on crack. Right through the human body as a communication medium, specifically a 5G wideband antenna designed for body-centric networks and the W-bands. And radar, of course. And Siemens Healthineers is your digital twin that, one more time, already passed through Congress with your biocyber interface, which is what your donut shot was really for. But don't worry. They're going to get everybody to Gitmo. The white hats are busy fighting the Reptar underground, because that's easier to deal with than business and market share. Because that's what's going on here. Okay. And that's why anybody who is still dealing with this and doesn't know that any time you see the word or the phrase sentient world simulation, that is an operation. They are helping your clowns keep you dumb as a post. Because then you won't know what to search for. Your friends won't believe you. You will have no idea how HOW it works and affects your body. Perfect. For 20 plus years. Perfect. Then we'll traumatize you some more. Talk about spiritual warfare. We'll claim we're just so stupid. We can't find anybody. We had to have rando people with their geospatial. But to our own police departments, we're going to use that W-band on a phone app. That's only for them. That's not for you, plebe. That's for them. They are law enforcement. Working with everybody else the whole way. And you are a red shirt in your kill box. You better not get in their way. You'll have a heart attack because you ate too much butter. Well done, people. Tell you what. So, now we have a video to watch about the future of regenerative medicine. which is exactly what the Department of Energy here, with all their logging in and out of more than just your gut bacteria, this is their bread and butter. Their money. Money for what? Human augmentation. And then they said, well, they're underground. And I said, nope, they're going to seminars worldwide in major hotels for 15 years. Universities like the University of Michigan, etc., they have laboratories for human augmentation. It's called regenerative medicine. Yeah, life extension technology. One more time before we get started. Regenerative medicine is going to be things like Dr. Michael Levin. Yeah. See, now the synergists are falling asleep again because we've been dealing with this for 2.5 years. These are scientists. And we have Rupert Sheldrake, Dr. Levin again, and another guy talking about the same thing. It's an industry, yeah, in which they're going to have system on a chip, organ on a chip, because they already had it. We've talked about it before. We've talked about it many times, but, you know, my hair was so much more important than listening to what I was telling you that you could read for yourself from Human Interactions, Emerging Technologies, and Future Systems 5, which is a college textbook. But no, it's your hair. No, it's because I was direct. I never worked for the intelligence community. I told them no. They disabled me for life. 20 years ago. And they came after my children. Nobody cares. If you have a stitch of empathy in you anywhere, for when I say that, you go, ooh, Brina, don't feel for me. Feel for all these other people and children that are sitting out there right now waiting for their timer to go off. Because everybody is way more busy making money with the crypto czar in the White House and making excuses for those people standing there with their binders on Epstein. And making more endless excuses of why we can't just tell people what's going on here with regenerative medicine and all the human augmentation at the conferences, the real electronic warfare we use on bodies, having passed the digital twins, like I showed you from Health and Ears with Siemens technology, and the same way that they're using them with a full duplex signal for mHealth. With the BioCyber interface, they don't need to keep injecting you. They're load balancing bodies since 2012 for the medical body area network. Because your butt is tethered to the cloud, they get to log in and play with you. And like we started out with, hey, I think I'm being targeted by a directed energy weapon. Shut up, you're crazy. Hey, I think they're using a medical body area network. Shut up, you're crazy. Is there going to come a time when you get up off your knees and kind of get sick of it? Nah, I'm going to go make money on the side because nobody wants to tell on this. Or I'll go to school for it, keep my mouth nice and shut, make tons of cash. The hackers are all in on it. Everybody in on it. I said 2/3 of this country are doing these jobs. And everybody said, no, Brina, it can't be that bad. Well, I'll tell you, when you got your monkey works out there a day ago with somebody's stupid article pointing out the Sentient World Simulation from 2004, and we have Kathy O'Brien out there yesterday, and more of the same bullshit. Oh, wrong terminology. They are not bothered. They know that you're not going to do anything to stop them. You can't. You can't even identify the anatomy they're using for aim and fire. And I'm not directing this at our community, obviously. Our community is well educated. But we're talking about the majority of people. Just ask anybody in our chat. They will tell you. They don't want to hear it. They want to hear Pleiadians, Hopium, Jesus is coming, the White Hats are doing something, underground bases. They do not want to hear reality, business, market share, industry, BioCyber interface, or FDA Modernization Act. RFK! These politicians are forcing you to watch them as a humiliation ritual for our nation. It's what they do. While they're busy over at the Vatican rearranging their little black cubes worldwide for how they actually do what they do. See other videos.
You look at what's going on at the level of science, it's clear that the science has gotten way ahead of the manufacturing when it comes to cells, tissues, and organs. If any of you know somebody waiting for a transplant of any kind of organ, even hearts in particular, it's a long, terrifying wait for a typical adult. Think about a baby or a small child that needs one of these organs. You really want some other baby, a small child, to have to die? We shouldn't have to wait for people to die in order to let somebody live. We gotta stop this. There's no equivalent of Silicon Valley that will bring the engineering community, the manufacturing community to the world of science. We're going to make it practical to manufacture high quantity, high quality, reasonable price cells, tissues, and organs.
Let's actually begin with the story of these iBots. And then I want to get into some of the extraordinary moonshots you're in the midst of.
So a long time ago in a faraway place, we decided that a wheelchair, which has been the standard of care since actually Benjamin Franklin, another inventor, bifocals, other medical inventions. Ben Franklin, 200 years ago, patented a wheelchair. He should have been proud of it. After 200 years, we can build machines that go to the moon, go to planets. We have machines that could put people everywhere, under the sea. But until I started building this standard of care for people that couldn't walk, it's a wheelchair. If any of you have ever had to use one, even for a day or a week, you'll know what a pathetic alternative that is. And it's not just about mobility, and I knew that when we started building these things. When somebody is confined to a wheelchair, and by the way, confined is a common phrase for that. The only other place I always hear the word confined is if somebody is so evil, we confine them to prison. I don't think a vet that comes back from leaving his legs in Afghanistan on an IED should be confined to a wheelchair. And I realized since I build helicopters and autopilots and all sorts of things, why don't we take solid-state gyros and accelerometers and high-performance control systems and build something that simulates human balance. Everybody in this room has a mom that remembers two things about you as a little kid. Your first words and your first steps. They're uniquely human. We walk erect. And when somebody loses the ability for any reason, disease, accidents, when you lose the ability to stand up, it's not about mobility. Yes, this thing climbs curbs and stairs and goes through sand. We'll show you a video of that. But you don't spend much of your day climbing stairs, but you spend most of your time interfacing with your colleagues, your family, your husband, your wife, your kids. And to do that from a confined position, you didn't lose mobility, you lost dignity, you lost access, you lost independence. So we decided we'll fix that. And we did. We took it to the FDA, We took it to the FDA and they said, we approve products based on benefit and risk. You got glioblastoma, we know what the outcome's going to be, we'll try anything. And they approve drugs that have 3 pages of small print about what it might do to you. But the risk and benefit are there. We took this to the FDA and they said, we won't even accept a proposal to review that thing because wheelchairs are safe and there's no benefit. I had to convince people at the FDA they ought to try living in a wheelchair for a while. We ended up compromising and doing it my way.
My work is easy. We know that theme song here.
And we submitted it. I pointed out it would be triply redundant. No single failure of a component, a system, a power supply, a processor, a gyroscope. There's multiples of them. I said, we will not build a system that any single point failure will bring this thing down. We put some out there, and after the fleet collected slightly over 10 million hours of operation in the field with real people, not a single system had ever gone down. We went back to the FDA and said, we want to take us out of class 3, put us back into class 2 so we can start making units for pediatric patients and for others. And probably in the history, as I know of the FDA, moving down a category from the most severe class 3 into class 2 based on data. We got that change. We got this thing into class 2. We built a new generation of them. We just recently, in January, after only 16 years, got CMS, Medicare and Medicaid to say, yes, we recognize that there's a need for this, and they're putting it on their list. The Veterans Administration has accepted 50 of them. I donated 2 to each of the 25 VA hospitals that take care of our vets. And I hope they're going to start letting vets have a better quality of life. We have I think a 1-minute video that shows this thing running around if you want to see.
Well, so this is amazing, as is your Luke arm, as is your slingshot, as is 1,000 of your inventions. And we can play this in background mode if you want.
Yeah, there's no audio. Play it.
But
Ask yourselves as you look at this, do you know anybody that lives in a wheelchair that can do that? Go ahead, play it. That's New Hampshire, by the way. For you people in California, that's water in its solid phase.
So we decided out of your 100+ moonshots that we would focus on 3 of them. One is the work that you're doing at Army, the Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute, which follows on the longevity work this morning. Yay! Amazing. Off-road.
I drove one of these up the stairs at the Eiffel Tower into the Jules Verne restaurant. Everybody else was using an elevator. Who would have thunk it?
Only you, buddy. So we're going to talk about Army, we're going to talk about Daisy, and we're going to talk about, of course, First. But we'll talk about First last, because I know that once we start on First, it's the last topic we'll talk about.
And we have a lot to say about that.
And we have a lot to say, yes. So, we've talked about this before, and those of you who have been on the Platinum Longevity trip, every time we're on the East Coast, we have the pleasure of going to the...
Okay, hang on. Same company, I missed a page here. Our small, lightweight, and wearable pumps feature enhanced delivery accuracy, occlusion detection, and monitoring compatibility. This is always about the wireless insulin pumps, the wireless drugging, all this wonderful wheelchair technology. How many people were disabled by their donut shot? So they created a market for themselves from the already disabled targeted individual communities, you think? Golly gee willikers. What is it they call that, where they create a problem and then offer you a solution? Yeah, but this is pretty violent. I guess it doesn't matter. Give me my solution, upload me to the cloud, get under my skin, remote me harder, daddy. They've already been doing it for 30 years. Oh, there's nothing we can do anyway, so just hand them our children. What country, what place, where am I? Because,
Army facilities in New Hampshire, these old loom factories turned now into organ manufacturing facilities. And I remember we went there 3 years ago, like a little room, and now we went back and you had just taken over these facilities. So what is Army?
Army stands for Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute. You've had a number of speakers talk around it and about it. In fact, Nina Tandon, who you just had up here, is a member, and we've been helping her turn her dreams into reality.
And Martine Rothblatt's been on the stage before.
She's one of my founding board members of Army, and we can show you some of the stuff we're doing with her. She is now in our Milliard taking over an 80,000 square foot building, and that entire building is now dedicated to manufacturing lungs and kidneys. It's the first place on planet Earth that's doing that. We will be in clinical trials with a half a dozen different Army-based products within the next year.
What was the moonshot set for you in this? This was initially funded by the government.
And is still today. And by the way, not that I think there's fate here, but 3 incredible things have happened to me after I touched down in California.
Yesterday.
I got a call that apparently the FDA has issued on their website the fact that they just approved our closed loop insulin pump with no moving parts, connected to sensors, and has full onboard software to do.
Whoa. Closed loop insulin pump connected to sensors. Sensors don't exist, mister. I don't know who you think you are, but I know. I have a magic amulet that protects me from all sensors that don't exist. Why would you even say such a silly thing?
And is still today. And by the way, not that I think there's fate here, but 3 incredible things have happened to me after I touched down in California.
Yesterday.
I got a call that apparently the FDA has issued on their website the fact that they just approved our closed loop insulin pump with no moving parts, connected to sensors, and has full onboard software to do essentially artificial
pancreas to sense your blood glucose level and pump in insulin. No more finger pricks, no more ups and downs. It took enough time.
Yeah, that was only about 10 years in the making. It's another one of my instant overnight successes. So I also found out this morning, 6 o'clock our time here, they didn't know where I was when I got the call at 6 o'clock, that after a whole bunch of work we done and a couple of reviews, and you'll see some slides of some people live, we show them, that Army just got official confirmation of $100 million new grant.
Additional grant. Which brings it to what level total capital now?
Well over 200 million now. And I thought when they gave us the first 80 million when we started this thing about 6 years ago, I was at a press conference at the White House, and I told them at the time, we're going to figure out how to make it practical to take all the miracles of science being generated in all the med schools and all. Like you just heard people like Michael Levin, you've heard people like, well, you bring them all here. I don't have to tell you. But you look at what's going on at the level of science, and like Daniel Kraft, and by the way, I apologize, I can't possibly project as efficiently as your speakers do, especially since I don't even know what you're going to ask me. But we looked back then and said, it's clear that the science has gotten way ahead of the manufacturing when it comes to cells, tissues, and organs. Every other industry, they won the Nobel Prize in the late 40s and 50s at Bell Labs for figuring out how to make a transistor, but within a decade there was Silicon Valley and an infrastructure to build the digital world that we know of. 100 years before that, the first cars became obviously a real deal, and Detroit built an infrastructure, iron and steel and castings and forgings and gears, and all the different med schools, all the different research institutions had Petri dishes. You heard Nina talk about it, and Petri dishes and pipettes and slave labor like postdocs and grad students that will do all of this work. But there's no industry, there's no equivalent of Silicon Valley that will bring the engineering community, the manufacturing community to the world of science. So we told the government, we're going to make it practical to manufacture high quantity, high quality, reasonable price cells, tissues, and organs. And I've been building dialysis equipment for 30 years, and there's 200,000 people waiting for their kidney transplants, and 20% are dying every year, and the list gets longer, not shorter. Same thing with waiting for islet cells or a pancreas. People that are waiting for a liver don't have the equivalent of dialysis, so if they're not on that list and lucky enough to get a cadaveric liver quickly, they die. People are waiting for lungs. So we said, we got to stop this. And we shouldn't have to wait for people to die in order to let somebody live. Let's just remanufacture organs. And we also said to them right up front, we'll use the iPSCs, the induced pluripotent stem cells, out of the patient that will be the recipient to be the cells we put into the printed or by any other means manufactured infrastructure.
So it's not any organ, it's your organ.
It's your organ. And by the way, in that same press conference, I said to the folks at the White House, even if we're lucky enough that within the 5 years I told you we'll get something in front of the FDA, we don't even know how they're going to be able to evaluate it, because everything they do at the FDA is of course, appropriately statistical. If you can make 12 billion of these pills, prove that they're the same. I said, we're going to show up at the FDA and say, yeah, we're making organs. And by the way, even though we're going to make 100,000 kidneys, we hope, in the first year we get out there with them, each kidney is going to be very specifically different. Each kidney is going to have the DNA of the intended recipient, and it's going to pop out of the oven nice and warm. It's going to be immediately whisked into a surgical field, handed to a surgeon who's going to zip it into the patient, and they go home. Sorry, FDA, there's no way you can be in the middle of that process.
QA for that person.
Yeah, and so we said to them, I said in the White House, unless we start now, we'll be 5 years ahead of the FDA when we have the capacity to do this. They're going to need to come up with a complete regulatory strategy to make this possible. The first full-time employee of Army, I called it Army in respect for the DOD. It wasn't, by the way, HHS, or it wasn't all the places you think that we get healthcare funded, National Science Foundation. No, it was the Department of Defense that gave us the money because they said, Dean, we need skin, we need bone, we need this stuff. So,
hey, here on the Synergy Channel, mister, we got you. We've been busy working with that, too. Everywhere. Bagwood Dude, if you come back or wherever you are, I sent you a note, but I didn't see anything come up in the chat. So, 2 years now, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking. He just said, we got our money from the DOD. Oh, like nanotechnology casualty care. Watch this. Nanotechnology casualty care with the different companies involved. Yeah, 3 years ago, like I said. Here on the Synergy Channel, we've been all over this stuff, talking about real terminology and real business and market share. Your grifters out there, they have a job to do. You need to be more worried about my hair. As long as you're worried about my hair, or whatever they tell you, and you then start accusing me of creating the website structure for the the Director of National Intelligence, nano.gov, the FBI, and everything in between, well, then you're never going to find out how it really works. But here inside of this video at the HDIAC, and I'm not going to go through all this now because I've been through this video at least 6 or 7 times. You can find it on the Synergy Rumble archive, in which I break down for you the companies like Legionarius and the tissue integrating biosensors for continuous monitoring of body chemistries from Prof USA. This is why the Synergy community is way ahead of everyone out there, because the intelligence community is driving division, OSINT, they're looking at how you react, they're handing out apps no different than Signal and Keybase to play with you with artificial neural networks, watching how you react in real time, watching you right there in your house. It ain't no big thing but a chicken wing for them. They think it's funny. They just want to see how you'll react, and then they dangle some things in front of your face and do it again. I don't think it's funny. I think it's disturbing, given how much death is continuing. And as I'm listening to this guy and I'm looking at papers, if you're wondering what I'm doing over here, because I'm making sure that I have all my links in order for people who care, and I'm going, whoa, because he's talking about referencing some other things too, and it's always, well, we need our pacemakers and our insulin pumps. They just disabled a ton of people, most of which are under the age of 30 years old. They murdered the people in the senior homes. There ain't one of you that will talk about it. You're all nice and quiet, wrapped up with vaccines, and what you're doing right now is you're telling us all that RFK, who already talked about the digital twin, the virtual nurse, because he knows about the FDA Modernization Act. He ain't stupid. RFK has you focused on what? Well, they took the red dye out. Oh, good for you. What are you doing about that bio-cyber interface and being under our skin for 30 years for national security, and nobody, not even people in Congress, have the ability to say, get out from under my skin, get the hell out of my house. Give me my Fourth Amendment back, because you never had one. They're going to do that for the next year, like I mentioned. So, as we're over here looking at the new types of satellites, DNA radar, protein folding, DNA origami, the DARPA molecules program, everything I just said there, if you're a synergist, you've already heard that. You probably already know where to look it up, or at least how to start to explain it. And if you want a real open source community of people who are unafraid to read from every different walk and different countries, that's here on our channel. Other channels are still playing games. Other channels are still hiding information and drip dropping and talking Pleiadians. We're not doing that here. We're not going to. I am not interested in what games Trump, Roy Cohn, the X Project Protect, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Now, hang on. That doesn't mean that there are not other people out there that are sitting there going, hey, without those of us fighting the good fight with the politicians and the lawfare. Yeah, there's some truth to that. It's a different vector of the battlefield, but you're going to lose. Those are their vectors. They're the politicians. They're the stakeholders. They're the ones that run the courts. Oh, we have corrupt judges. Judges that are being paid by the same damn people with a terahertz bullet since I was young with all the clearances that they juggle like Jenga. Oh, well, we have to vote. No, I'm done with your voting bullshit. It's been electronic. They're logging in. Anyone from IT, and I mean an 18-year-old that knows how to use a USB stick and a dongle, will tell you that. And they tried to in 2022, etc. This whole thing has been one big bullshit central. Boo, we're flying them to Gitmo. You just kept people distracted and dumbed down. Then you sent out your Keybase app to see how they would react to your bullshit. Are we in high school? Is that what happened? Because this is one place where people get really mad at me. However, I don't throw the Divine Lady of the Red Phone in the same bin. I know you get pissed, all of you do, that you don't like her or whatever, but she at least has education out there. Huh. The rest of them don't. They have nothing. Except really good bank accounts, bullshitting people with sentient world simulation. Just saying. Hey, Franklin. Nice to see you. So, here on the channel, yesterday we were going over our magic satellites, and I'll be coming back to this once I reset the stream for going into Dr. Michael Levin and finally Rupert Sheldrake. But I just wish to point out, because somebody sent this to me last night, advancing the kill chain from space. This is what we went over yesterday, this PWSA, okay? For all of you that are listening to this and getting wrapped up in how it's being presented, we love all the paraplegics, so we're going to solve every health problem. Okay, well, you need to understand that they're using CubeSat, and I'm sure that you don't. And I'm also sure that you don't understand this, which is the stuff I was just walking you through with the kill box, which is why lying about the sentient world simulation is really important to the grifters and the CIA, apparently clowns, because that way you're not going to know about that kill box or the cyber kill chain. Like I said, you'll be sitting in your house, your heart stops. Oh, that's impossible. Nope, that's that body area network again that you don't want to talk about, won't admit to, won't explain to anybody, and that's because of our electronic warfare division being under people's skin. They get to do whatever they want. And you're not going to be able to go to a physician, a police officer, a lawyer, that got it all locked up with their clearances and themselves right now today. Anything that you see in these 4 boxes, they can turn off your eyesight, they can change out your breathing, they can change your muscle tension, they can force your hands and your legs or any part of your body to do something against your will because you're electrical. See other videos. Which is why, to me, this entire situation just went from bad to way worse. And I remember the Q-tards going, when the Pope dies, where we go one, we go all. And I'm like, well, yeah, you bunch of goofballs. You're going to work in school for this. You still won't tell anybody what you're doing at Cambridge, for crying out loud. And the rest of us who have children are adults, survivors or not. Could you, shut up? We're so busy saving the world with life extension technology that's only for you because you've upped the organ harvesting because there's so many of you participating in it. Dude. It's just, whoo! So the successful L3 Harris milestone reviews mark tangible progress for the vital Foo Fighter program, moving a critical enabling technology closer to on-orbit demonstration. Excuse me. F2 represents a crucial step in developing the sophisticated, resilient space-based sensing. Yesterday, we had a rainbow satellites that are sensing things at the molecular level. This is Space Coast Defense. So I'll throw this in here too because I told people you're not turning off missile defense, and every single bit of what we're looking at has to do with that golden dome of all these sensor technologies under your skin, around your head. Yeah. And so if you think you're going to get your gun, nope. You ain't even going to be able to breathe. But we did it all to help the paraplegics. I don't have words. I think that this whole week they're just going to be laughing at all of us who tried to say anything real, really. And I guess we can just laugh back at them and embrace our joy. Because tell you what, there ain't no point, and I get irritated because of the amount of children, disabled people, and I'm not going to back off of that. This is disgusting. But on the other side, once I'm done with that, you're not stealing my joy. If you're going to be out there raping and killing people like you've been getting away with since I was a child, well, I'm going to gird up. I'm going to seal off the perimeter of my lawn in sacred ways, in whatever way I can. And if you show up on my lawn, well, I'm hoping maybe because of what you're doing, your synthetic blood will have some problems before you're getting there. I'd be having fun, y'all. No kidding. Because I am not going to sit here and be pissed off all the time. No. And I'm also not going to be crying buckets, but I woke up crying this morning. That's because I'm absolutely certain it's going to get worse. Because we're burying the Pope. Hey man, let's rub it in everybody's face. Yep. Is there ever going to come a time when you absolutely do anything to a PDF file? No. That's their workhorses. Okay. Me, Sabrina, I'm going to have to find a way to deal with that. That's probably going to include the new camera, karaoke, some crystallography, and some painting for our synergists. Because, I gotta tell ya, sitting here and having to watch, Buffy, I am Dr. Michael Levin. I mean, we need to do that because I want it there for folks. But after that, it's time for some fun. And you should see the front lawn, y'all. The sun is shining. It is gorgeous. I'm going to take some of my painting projects outside. I hope that you're outside with your dog, your loved ones, some people with their outside cats, whatever it might be. Oh, Dawn. Yeah, hey, Dawn, I have a question. Have you seen an increase of those communiques in the last year? Because the firewall will not, at this point, even let me in email for the reason you just mentioned. He said that in the last year it's gotten really bad. Good, Lucia. Lucia, don't you have goats where you are? If we don't maintain some equilibrium in our lives of love and joy, what's the point? Oh, yeah. Yeah! Their favorite thing is when we're over here grumbling and groaning and crying and moaning. No thanks. I'll be singing. I'll be dancing to my best ability. See? I thought you had goats. Outrunning. Good for you, Jill. And sheeps. Yeah. So what Dawn said there, as I mentioned, that's why my husband got in between. He's like, no more. No more. Because it's getting really ugly. Alright, so let's continue listening to the real reason why they're doing so much organ harvesting and organ manufacturing for the regenerative medicine, life extension technology, and funded by the Department of Defense, just like when Google said, that smart maven is too evil for us. The DoD jumped up and said, not us! We're good! We are as evil as can be. Give it to us. We're fine. We're going to turn it into something we can give to NATO. Jeez Louise.
DoD. It wasn't, by the way, HHS or it wasn't all the places you'd think that we get healthcare funded, National Science Fund. No, it was the Department of Defense that gave us the money because they said, Dean, we need skin, we need bone, we need this stuff. So I'm down in Washington. We tell that story, and I said the FDA is going to be the biggest uncertainty in this whole thing. I'm sure the scientists will deliver the recipe to make cells, tissues, and organs. I'm sure we're going to find a way to do high-volume manufacturing to get consistent quality and outcomes and document the thing. But how are we going to get it approved? A guy that spent 18 years, MD, PhD at FDA, rising to being the policy director at the CBER, the 1/3 of the FDA resigned that day and moved up to New Hampshire.
Coincidence?
Coincidence. I told him he should resign, get to our side of the table, and help us prepare to help the FDA partner with us to get these things approved. So Dr. Richard McFarland became the first full-time employee of Army. I then said, we need standards. So we went down to Washington. We plucked a few folks out of NIST, the National Institute for Standard and Technology. We got them on board. Army now has 200 member organizations. Most of the big med schools, some of the big pharma companies, a lot of little startups, and it has probably about 60 full-time employees across all the disciplines necessary.
Let me make
organs.
Let me make this palpable for folks. So we're talking about if you should need a backup let's list some organs here. First of all, bone, ligament, bone, the work that Nina's doing. Skin. A kidney.
Kidney is a very, and livers and lungs. But we now have a little one that's about to go in front of the FDA. Think about this, people. Most of you hope to live long. We heard all about longevity. We already know that something that was once considered rare is becoming quite an appropriate fear among people getting older, and that's macular degeneration. Well, instead of building the entire kidney, what if you could make something that's about, a couple of millimeters by a couple of millimeters, and you could slip it in almost non-surgically, attached to a retina, to give somebody essentially their own brand new healthy ability to see. We have now built a device that's spitting those things out. We're testing them in animals, but I'm believing that within certainly a couple of years that will be in front of the FDA, and your worries about macular degeneration may be substantially reduced.
Pancreatic islet cells.
So,
regrow some pancreas.
So I started 40 years ago when my brother was still in med school, and I built for him little pumps that were used to deliver the first insulin for diabetes. A long time went by, and I only started making these solids.
Excuse me, folks. The reason that these people crack up O4 tuna is because those of us who have been disabled, and I don't mean disabled people, I mean the disabled people running our defense department. I figured that's where you were going. But those of us who, with the way that they treat the VA, which is no laughing matter. And here they are. Yeah, we're going to give everybody brand new eyeballs, cure your cancer. How are you doing that? We're going to log in under your skin. We've already been there. We've got your ass on a database for 50 years. Huh. What'd you do to the guy that worked the TSSCI special access programs with Catherine Herridge? Oh, we let his brain rot. We let him die. It's long duration hits. And we just help people if it doesn't exist. And then we don't got to pay any money. Oh, okay. What'd you do for everybody else? Well, well, it depends. Oh, does it? What does it depend on? Are you a millionaire or a billionaire? No. Die. Wow, that's a caste system. Worse than some of the ones in history that we've seen in China and India. And now it's in America. You're not a billionaire? You don't get to go swirl around in space like Katy Perry? And then, what's her name? Well, I encourage everyone to go take a space flight, and then you can talk about it. Oh, yeah, I got a couple million laying in a bank. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And also, hey, we're going to disable a bunch of people on purpose. 5 years now, what are you doing? Oh, it's a vaccine. Not according to Cambridge. You want to use some real terminology? No, we're still busy disabling people. Then they need us even more. Oh, DHS is down at the border. Oh, you need a 4-year-old. Hang on a minute. Do you have an ID? Oh, you don't? You can go pick one up over there for $200. Yeah, it just same way. Yeah. There's a bong behind it. Dude, move your bong. We need a different ID. Yeah, thanks. Oh, you said you need 2 14-year-olds. Okay, hang on. Yeah. Oh, we can't find anybody. Yeah, no, I don't. No idea. So those databases that you're using for everything, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't use databases to actually find children. We use databases to deliver them. And I'm proud to be an American. Are you kidding me? Well, we're going to show them JFK and 9/11 and then and do what? It's like opiates and cigarettes all over again. Hey, did you kill a bunch of people for a couple decades? Yeah. Did you tell anybody? No. Did you get away with it? Yeah. Now what are you doing? Well, we got a class action lawsuit. We paid everybody $25 and said, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But you did. Yep. And now we're on to whatever's next. This is why here on the channel, myself and Non-Vaxxer, our tertiary library, we've worked so hard to be like, hey, this is a little different. If you let this go on, if this keeps rolling, people are not going to be able to procreate. You're not going to be able to manage your own immune system without being injected 50 times. I'm not joking, and I'm not being hyperbolic. And meanwhile, every time you try to talk to somebody, they're like, Oh, is that the situation where we're going to the 5D with the Pleiadians? And you're going, okay. Or, you're not Christian enough. And you're going, whoa, okay. And then you just shut up and wait on Jesus. Yeah, kind of like that guy from Pennsylvania who went to go pick up his order of young girls. I'm going to show them the way of the Lord. Because we just need more of that in the world. Jeez Louise. People can still procreate. Not for much longer. Elon is setting the trend. He has allegedly like 20 kids, all named different acronyms. And most of them are pod babies. I am the coolest billionaire. Do it my way. Don't have a relationship with her. Just impregnate her with your sperm and mix it up in the lab first. And people making jokes about it. They're like, hey, Elon, I'll have your baby for $250,000 a year. It's cool. I got you. And again, this whole thing that we're watching right now, well, we have a wireless sensor-oriented insulin pump, and yeah, I forgot. Let me show this to you, the way that it actually works. Yet again, bingo card time. It was back in the 70s. Oh, Fortuna, yeah. So, your Internet of Medical things with your Fitbit and all that kind of stuff, right? And you're so excited with your new insulin pump, right? Hey, what are you doing? I don't want to view the PDF. What's going on? Sorry, that's my mouse again. I'm going to have to replace it soon because it keeps having problems. There we go. So, you are connected to a remote control, not only at the level of under your skin with any of those electronic warfare multi-use electricity applications, those two, but at the level of your own neurons for artificial intelligence. This is all the same Internet of Medical things driving your Fitbit that you are using with your phone to give them all this biomedical data, just like Pokemon Go. But they love us. Well, you're still really believing that, right? That they love you so much that for 30 years they couldn't be bothered to tell anybody what they're doing to everybody? It's not just about the children being organ harvested. Look at our VA and the amount of disabled people we have. This is what, but it's MK Ultra. Yeah, they're doing that on purpose, and nobody ever seems to be able to tell them no. Everybody says, all right, well, once I'm fully disabled, I'm going to get me a wheelchair like this one and climb the stairs to the Eiffel Tower. What is going on?
State ones when it started a decade ago to become clear that we could build closed-loop control systems with reliable glucose sensors. And I'll show you something in a minute about that, if you ask. But it turned out that nobody wants to deal with insulin, whether it's in a pump or not. I mean, we've gotten a lot better. Nobody wants to wear CGMs, and your 6-year-old daughter or granddaughter shouldn't have to be careful about having that ice cream cake at that birthday party. So we've been saying for a long time, let's just make new islet cells, new beta cells. Let's make a pancreas. I've been working with JDRF, one of the most prestigious organizations for dealing with this issue for 30 years, because I started making pumps for them. The only thing I used to know about JDRF was every year they have a big fundraiser. Every year I go, we like everybody else, write checks to them. Last year when they came up and saw the scale of what we were doing in the bioreactors we were building, the JDRF came to us and said, we'd like to give you guys a few $1 million so that you can start building massive quantities of islet cells so that we can give those to every researcher that we now fund around the country. So instead of spending an enormous percentage of the money we give them for research, where they're essentially building their own tools before they get to do their work, it solves two problems for them. If every different university or research organization has to make their own islet or beta cells from their own parts, the variability is so large that nobody's even going to believe it's something you can duplicate, which is why medical journals write papers, and half the paper is about, what did we do, and everybody else tries to duplicate it, and they typically can't. JDRF said to us, let's make standard line cells. We'll give them to everybody, and they can spend all their time and all their money on their version of their solution. And the example to you would be is if you had builders in every community and you all want them to build you a house, but if every builder, after you approved, what they're going to build for you, they had to go out and make their own hammers, and make their own nails, and manufacture their own tools. No way. So JDRF did that the night. The reason I couldn't come out for the first day yesterday is the entire board of JDRF and a lot of their major funders and recipients showed up at my house for a celebration dinner night before last, where we announced to them and showed them a couple of bioreactors that are making a few billion islet cells per day at this point.
2 billion islet cells per day.
And we're starting to, within the next few months, we'll be shipping some of them around the country.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And you can make hearts.
Yeah, this is over a year old now, and this is Doris Taylor's heart. That was a decellularized and then recellularized tiny pig. That heart is the right size to transplant into a baby. If any of you know somebody waiting for a transplant of any kind of organ, even hearts in particular, it's a long, terrifying wait for a typical adult, but frankly, most of the cadaveric organs that are available are adults. Some idiot kid gets drunk, drives his motorcycle into a tree. Well, you get a bunch of good organs, but they're typically adult size. Think about a baby or a small child that needs one of these organs. You really want some other baby, a small child, to have to die? So we said, let's start making pediatric size hearts. This thing is reinfused with some iPSCs, and you saw it pumps.
Amazing.
We will be putting some of these quote manufactured hearts in animals this year.
I remember having a conversation with Elon about manufacturing, and the comment he made was so astute, and it applies to everything you're doing here. He said, if you have the ratio of the value of the invention idea relative to the difficulty of productionizing and mass manufacturing, it basically is like 1 to infinity. That the ability to actually go into production and produce this, and you're actually building, you're taking over all those buildings. And what's your vision a decade from now? What's this New Hampshire facility going to look like?
Again, I'll be able to show you a slide of that. The old mills he's referring to, I can show a picture of this, but that mill, the Amoskeag Mills, was the largest single operating industrial complex in the world at the time. They had 22,000 water-powered looms in there, and they were producing a massive amount of the world's then advanced technology, knitting, textiles. After the Great Depression, they pretty much closed. That stuff became a commodity. That mill yard was virtually empty when I moved up there 40 years ago from New York. I moved into the very smallest building right in the middle there, the white one with the white roof next to the one that's H-shaped. Those are all white because I had to put roofs on them. Now, every one of those things shows either one of my DECA companies, one of the Army companies, FIRST, our university affiliation to train kids to become the next industry. But that's now, we have a couple of million square feet. And we told everybody, and I told you this years ago, if Army works, it's not a product, it's not one organ, it's not one company, it's an industry. This is the birth. What Silicon Valley did once we understood semiconductor technology, this is going to be the epicenter of an industry to make it practical to manufacture human cells, tissues, and organs. So I said, they got Silicon Valley, we'll call ours Carbon Valley on the East Coast. We're carbon-based. People said to me, Dean, don't use the word carbon. Okay, so we'll be Regen Valley. So we started calling this Regen Valley, and just a few months ago, when we were told we might get the next 100 million, I started to say, after 3 years, I was a little nervous, and it was harder than we thought, and I had burned through a lot of the 80 million, and I thought they might not be happy. When the DOD, the Assistant Secretary of Defense, Vice President, they all came up. They were so blown away by how fast we were moving. By the way, that's both of my senators, Shaheen and Hasan, our mayor of our city, and Gina Raimondo, the Secretary of Commerce a few months ago. When the President of the United States, Biden, asked everybody to be there when he went broadcasting from the Oval Office, the fact that they have officially, through EDA, the Economic Development Authority, announced, this is the president's words, that the Manchester Mill Yard is now the epicenter of Regen Valley for the United States and the world. So
can we just take a second and just appreciate that? So I'm imagining a decade, a centralized factory facility where ahead of your need of an organ, a skin sample is taken, it's converted to an induced pluripotent stem cell, it's put in one end of your bioreactor, it's multiplied some tens of billions of times, differentiated appropriately, and out the other end comes a functioning organ. Did I get it correct?
You got it exactly right. And in fact, to make sure that freshly baked right out of the oven, they're not going to have that long a life. So separate from Army, which is this, in that same massive building that they're standing in, I put a little outpost of DECA that's building.
Whoa, hang on. Common sense has struck the chat. Crystal says, so sad to talk about bodies like car parts. Now, wait a minute. Crystal, you know, we're augmenting here. You're gonna need parts. Lots of parts. System on a chip, lab on a chip, network on a chip, organ on a chip, organ and human body on a chip. Here, hang on. Let's just zoom in. Organ and human body on a chip. ISO TC276 with human augmentation. IEEE P2049.4. I have no words because they love us. Yeah, again, they need a lot of extra organs. That's why there's so much organ harvesting or billionaires impregnating people just in order to have some extra parts on hand. But we love you, and it's all for the paraplegics. So when we talk about bodies, similar to, oh, you need a new alternator, just replace your fan belt. Oh, I'm gonna balance your, we're gonna rotate your tires, balance the axle and whatnot, and then maybe we just replace the chassis entirely. And yeah, because to them, you're nothing more than a meat suit walking around. Here goes any notion whatsoever of human value. None. Yeah, that's inside of their documents with their cool little think tanks where they're talking about post-humanism versus transhumanism. And unfortunately, the difference is post-humanism, they don't need you anymore. Period. And that's where we're going to be going once we're done with this one, because Dr. Michael Levin, a month ago, unfolding new paradigms of post-human intelligence. They're done. Agenda 2030 is done. This is the same Dr. Levin that this man here is talking about. Yeah. Cracking the bioelectric code. Yeah, they are very, very all about regenerative medicine. As long as you have enough millions of dollars to pay for it. And that's something. This is what I meant by the caste system. It's a SCADA system, only with our, like the health and ears there with Siemens. About a year ago, we had a few engineers who were trying to talk to coworkers, and they learned very quickly, everybody in on it, everybody happy with it, you're going to augment, you're going to live forever. It's going to be Johnny Depp transcendence up in here for everybody. And if it isn't, they just don't care. And then this is why we get so many going, but what about we need divine intervention? And I said, why are we standing around looking for the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and all these other mythical creatures to suddenly intervene when we can't even sit down at our own dinner table and say, hey, I read a college textbook today about tethering human bodies to the cloud. What do you do at work? See how that's really weird and out of balance? I can't talk to my loved one about what they do at their job or a college textbook, but I can sit here every day and summon rituals for the pasta or the spaghetti monster, the pastafarian that I've now become, or the Pleiadians, and say we need divine intervention because people are unable to talk about what they go to school and work for and what they've already written legislation for. Doesn't that seem really weird to everybody? Apparently not. I would say that might have something to do with AI eating people's brainstems, but what would I know? Just a working theory.
A thing that we call the pod. There may be a picture of that.
Oh.
And that pod is a life support system
I saw it.
for the
saw it
organs.
this past trip, yeah.
And we now have taken cadaveric kidneys, for instance, that typically after 3 or 4 hours, no surgeon would put them in somebody. After 4 days of putting it in this little thing, which, by the way, is now on wheels, and we roll it around the entire campus just to prove it has onboard electric power, but it has nitrogen, it has oxygen, it has CO2, and it's on wheels, and we're driving it around, and after 4 days, that thing, which is full of sensor technology that's measuring the kidney that we put.
Hey, there's no such thing as sensors, mister. Stop scaring people. Jeez.
But in there is making more urine than when we took it out of the cadaver. It's in better health than it was. And now we're working, as you know, with Martine Rothblatt and Beta to build a vertiport by which it will be put into one of our vertical takeoff machines. It will be flown either to a local hospital, one of the local ones like Harvard, or, we're halfway between Dartmouth and Harvard, or it'll get right to our airport, get put in a plane, delivered to any transplant surgeon in the country, and hopefully we will eliminate the now multi-year backlog for people waiting for organs.
How many?
By the way, the FDA, in a surprise, we told them we're building this thing to do life support systems for this organ. We showed them what this thing is. They sent back a note to us. We're giving this product what they call breakthrough status so that they can accelerate the review of it so that we can start supplying these things even to today's organs so we don't lose them.
So this is the challenge when you get home and you start telling your loved ones and your business partners and your employees and so forth about this facility in New Hampshire that's manufacturing organs based on your individual DNA, and it's an incredible world we're living in, buddy. Now,
excuse me. I see trees of green, money too. It's gonna be post-humanism for me and you. Wait till I show you this graphic. Somebody in the chat said, I've never seen post-humanism before. Well, this is the Transcendence Up for Sale, published online in 2023. The philosophy of technology. Technology is in framing a way of revealing and ordering. Technology is part of the body to experience the world. That's back to where AI does the work of your senses. You don't get to have a sixth sense ever. Inseparability between the system, technology, and life world. Humans as prosthetic beings. See, it's really cute to sit here and keep talking about the paraplegics. Excuse me a moment. Okay. Oh, we're going to help everybody. But no, we're going to turn everybody into cyborgian kind of way of being. Human brain as a computing machine, the body as an informational pattern, and techno-apocalypse, human agency transferred to technology. Trespassing identities and designations, mutual responsibility between man and machine, technological mediation, non-human actants with agency. That would be your agentic AI. Mutual constitution of subject and object, technologically mediated morality. Technologically mediated morality. Morals decided by machines. Now, transhumanism is different than posthumanism. Post-anthropocentric, moving away from human centrism and exclusivism. Humans are no better than dirt. They're not special. They don't have anything they offer. Machines are better at everything. And make sure you're going to get it done by making it lucrative. Give it a huge marketplace. Sabrina, that sounds like a whole lot of planning that they've been getting away with for at least 50 years. I know, right? This has kind of been our point on the channel, but don't worry. We're not done. hang on. Back to the ResearchGate, who's mad about something to do with all the papers I've been pulling. Posthumanism of imagination, posthumanism of control, posthumanism critique, conversion. The 5 types of posthumanism delineated by our two-dimensional model can be understood informally as posthumanisms of critique, imagination, conversion, control, and production. Sapient circuits and digitalized flesh. The Organization as Locus of Technological Posthumanization, 2nd edition, 2018. Neural prosthetic augmentation in order to compete with genetically enhanced coworkers. A corporate headquarters that exists only in cyberspace as persistent virtual world. Okay? And most of the time, when I bring this stuff up, people get mad and they go, oh, it's all just theoretical. And I'm like, well, see, transhumanism and posthumanism are related, but distinct concepts that emerged in response to humanism. Transhumanism, essentially a technological extension of humanism. So let's define that, their definition. Hang on. Humanism is a philosophy that emphasizes the importance of human beings, their potential, and their agency in shaping their own lives and the world around them. Humanism often involves a focus on reason, science, and ethics, while also valuing individual freedom, dignity, and the pursuit of happiness. It's a philosophy, okay? And because that philosophy exists, that's why transhumanism and posthumanism have emerged. Because that philosophy ain't working so well. You get it? Watch this. So transhumanism, essentially a technological extension of humanism, seeks to improve and enhance human capabilities through technology. With some transhumanists envisioning a future where humanity transcends its biological limits, potentially becoming post-human. Posthumanism, on the other hand, is a broader philosophical and literary critique of humanism, questioning its assumptions about the nature of humanity and its relationship with the world. In other words, we don't need humans anymore. Post-humanism. Get rid of them. Why? Machines are better. Philosophical and political movement that challenges the traditional human-centric view of the world by exploring the interconnectedness of humans, non-humans, and technologies. And its posthumanism seeks to disrupt hierarchies and emphasize the dynamic interplay of organisms and complex systems. They're going to work, y'all. They're very busy with that TV show Severance type of stuff since the 90s. This is where our college textbook comes from. Posthumanism, okay? And that's why when people see this, and he's this millionaire guy, whatever he is, he's sitting there in the wheelchair. Oh, they just want to help the paraplegics. You know, when you don't admit 30 to 50 years of databases to change out your body, and they're doing it as a political movement as well as philosophy, and every time we bring it up, I warn you, they're like, Sabrina, this is all just theoretical. I'm like, really? Okay, let me show you what's not theoretical real quick, and then we'll go back. Human augmentation market share. Now listen, theoretical people, there shouldn't be anything there. Go ahead, read it for yourself. It says 122 billion with a B last year. How's that possible? It's theoretical. It's just a political movement. They're just writing papers amongst themselves at universities. It's not real. Well, it's part of the Agenda 2030 goals. You will be forced to be symbiotically adhesed with AI. Again, that's that paper nobody wants to look at or read about because it's 8 years old. Wow. And look, SNS Insider, Emergent Research, Markets and Markets, Precedence Research, Mordor Intelligence. I can't believe that's real. Oh my gosh. Latest Global Market Insights. You know, I'll bet you Yahoo Finance probably is talking about it too, but nobody else is, because it's not real. Those billions of dollars are made of monopoly money. And I'm sure some of you, yes, Brandon, well, the Federal Reserve is anyways. I understand. North America has held the largest revenue share. Of what? It's not real. They're LARPing. They have no idea what they're doing. It's not really a cyber bio interface. It's a vaccine from a Wuhan bat. Yeah, sure. We're making organs, baby. Organs inside of our little cart that we can wirelessly drive around the campus for fun. Woohoo! It's a moonshot. How many millions you got sitting in a bank account, y'all? Post-humanism. Like I said, once we get done with this guy, we're coming back over here with our favorite Dr. Michael Levin, who wrote your Biofield Science and Physiology. You're not getting your anatomy back. They've had it for 120 years. They're using it right now to rearrange your cell structure any way they want. And everybody's going, because they love us, they want to save us. And I don't know. I think that people that view humans in this level, as in humans are gross. They don't have any morals. They're stupid. They don't have any ethics. If you're not getting augmented, you're going to be left behind. That's informal documentation with countries worldwide. They didn't want the opinion of ethicists or the public. They were busy changing out their national GDP. Do you know what that is? Okay, how about this? What is national GDP? Gross domestic product. Americans, we follow the money. Do you now? Then you should know that national gross domestic product is the total monetary value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's borders during a specific time period, typically a year. It's a key indicator of a country's economic health and performance. How do you think North America, our health and performance and our GDP is gonna be, given that when I show you human augmentation market share in 15 years of conferences, you're still telling me it's not real, it's theoretical. Man, billions of dollars, it's theoretical, huh? I betcha the reason these people are on the stage, and I'm trying to find how long ago, hang on. 11 months ago, moonshots with Peter Diamandis, or however you say that, Diamandis. Wonderful guy. He has been inventing and producing ideas for 40 years. Check his background of success and determination. Thanks to you, Peter, for this outstanding forum. Wow, just wow. Somehow those chairs are allowing you two to approximate the gentle unconscious sway of standing friends presenting in turns. Also, genius aims are being outlined here. This find alone made this month's YouTube very reasonable price all on its own. Brighten my thoughts. I love this man and his focus on abundance. I have a naturally positive outlook and find it difficult to be around cynics. Earned a BA in journalism from Maryland and then left the field of journalism once I found myself turning to the negative too often. Peter, I was waiting for him to say how we can buy one of the wheelchairs, but then you guys just changed the subject. Mom was crying tears of joy when she realized she could push herself backwards at an extremely slow pace in her walker that has a seat, just because she was moving by herself. I can only imagine how happy she'd be with that gyroscope chair. These guys, they think up ideas, talk up ideas, but then they go on and make the ideas a reality. I'm so inspired and excited by listening to these kinds of minds operating in the world. Thank you for all the incredible value you guys are creating. Peter, my level of respect for you has gone up 1,000-fold. You and Dean are truly amazing souls, and Dean said it so well, with a touch of humor, the Pope of Hope. But seriously, like Dean said, you and your carefully selected group of pioneers are unique individuals who have resources and choose to give back to the community and the world. And First Global Challenge is just amazing. Dean came in as the GOAT, bless him. Your podcast is so inspirational. Science is always ahead of technology. This man is a national human race treasure. I'm in love with your channel. Two amazing human beings. Now that's what I'm talking about. Here's a summary of recent AI trends and developments. AI hype perception. Excitement for AI might be declining. AI investment in belief to the future. Continued AI investment is essential to achieving. Love your content. Thanks for doing what you do. This is game changing. Do you see anything where it says, where'd you get your R&D? What does this mean? No, thank you, YouTube Premium. He needs to learn how to present better. Boy, they just bitch at everybody. Well, I have to take hormones. What about me? I don't see people in wheelchairs getting up and walking. Why are you in a wheelchair? You chose to do that. Believing in decentralization. That must be some sort of crypto thing, or what is that, Statium? So, Sabrina, they curate the YouTube so that only the positive is there. Well, be that as it may, 11 months ago and a lot of excited people. But again, we have a lot of disabled people. They don't want to be disabled. No kidding. Well, we're going to cure the paraplegics. And I said, you guys have had 50 years to do this. Show your work. What have you really been doing? Organ harvesting, and now we're going to grow them. And, oh, very interesting. Synthetic biology again for 30 years that nobody knows about. Huh. Humanism is so passé. We're so over being humans. We're going to be augmented humans. They already are. 15 years at the Marriott. And then, now that we've done the transhumanism for 10 years, now we're going to just get rid of the stinky, smelly humans. You'll be bonded with your AI or you don't get a job. Or anything else. Sabrina, it's business and market share, people.
Let me just ask, you got your PhD in cellular physiology and your medical degree from where? I've forgotten.
So you should know, and I think we got video of this, when I am at the White House, when they asked us to come down, the president, to announce that they were so excited to give out the first ever $80 million to a engineering organization to make this practical. I'm at the podium and I said, just for the record, everybody, I know nothing about the magic goo that's being made by all these universities. I'm not a biologist, I'm not a biochemist, and whether that petri dish is full of grandma's chicken soup, big molecules, small molecules, biologics, don't know. But we know how to move it, measure it, control it. We know how to monitor it. We will figure out how to bring the engineering discipline to the scientists. And if they can deliver the recipe for what they're doing, we will take their artisan approach of being able to do this very expensively, very unrealistically in terms of quality systems, and we will bring it to scale. So I have no PhD in any such thing.
I just want to point out that the majority of individuals who change the world are coming with a clean sheet of paper and no preconceptions, right?
But that helps you, because if you start with the system that you now have, your natural tendency is to incrementally make it a little better, which is a pretty good thing. We live in a world where you'd all like the things that you're comfortable with to get a little bit better next year. But when there's gaping, missing things, using standard technology to eventually get there is a fool's errand. I mean, the light bulb was not an incremental improvement over a Kindle.
Well, we need a blank slate. We don't want to talk about all the dead bodies we've been piling up for a couple decades. Shut up. No. And now that we've injected everybody and made everybody struggle with their health care, yeah, we're just going to fix it. Yeah, oh, yeah. And be open-minded. Where are we today? Hey, I'd like a choice. You don't get a choice. Shut up, GDP channel.
No, I've said better. Everybody, I want to take a short break from our episode to talk about a company that's very important to me and could actually save
companies, including, little guys like Pfizer and Moderna, were working on vaccines. It became clear that they were probably going to get there. Again, it's a testament to how fantastic science has become. But once they got there, it was pretty well known that, holy mackerel, we're going to need, just for Americans alone, 300 or 400 million doses. For the world, 8 billion doses. And the manufacturing capability, even for those big guys, isn't going to be there. Not only is that a problem, but you need 8 billion syringes. They'll be filling the ocean, polypropylene. You need 8 billion little 24, 25, 26 gauge hypodermic needles. Hard to make, hard to get rid of it. And they're used for nefarious purposes. Glass vials full of this stuff. And by the way, you then need trained clinicians to deliver this stuff. And even in this country, we were being choked. What are you going to do around the rest of the world, particularly the developing world? But we were told, and it turned out that if you do a little research, it's true, that it's been known for more than 50 years. That's why I said incrementalism doesn't work. It's been known for more than 50 years that vaccines in particular are way more effective if they're delivered intradermally, into your skin, not through your skin. And to this day, the only legal way to read a label copy, the only way to give a vaccine, like most other things, is either intramuscular, deep into your muscle, intravenous, or subcutaneous. You poke through your skin and it goes into the interstitial space and gets absorbed. Why? Because your skin's so damn thin, not even the best surgeon in the world is going to be able to take a needle, push it in, but not through your skin, and then deliver the dose. It would be like telling all of you, I have my liver, my kidney, my lung, and my pancreas, they're all in a pouch, my peritoneum, and I put it all in a balloon and put some fluid around it so that they're going to float around in the balloon. Then you go to somebody and say, take this needle, push it into the wall of the balloon, but don't pop the balloon. And then deliver into the balloon a little, what the medical people call a little bleb. Well, it turns out, and the mechanism of action is apparently well understood by people in the clinical space, that the reason you'd love to deliver a vaccine into the skin and not through the skin is because nature's pretty clever. And your body has cells whose sole function is to warn your body, make antibodies, there's something bad that's gotten into you. Well, if you put the cells that are going to tell your body to start making antibodies in your liver or kidney or heart or lung, it's a little late. It would be like having a parachute that automatically opens on impact. So what nature did is it said your skin, which is the largest organ in your body by weight, other than bone, your skin has 100,000 times higher density of these dendritic cells than any other organ in your body. So we said, why don't we just come up with a simple way to put the vaccine directly into, not through your skin. Turns out you'll need less than 1/10 the dose. So if Pfizer could make 100 million doses and you need 1 cc, well now that'll be 1 billion doses because you need 1/10 as much. There's no pain, there's no side effects. You wouldn't need a professional to make the delivery. It has all sorts of advantages. You can ship it around easily. You don't have waste like syringes and needles. So we set out to do that, and it turned out there was a company, an Israeli company, that had pointed the right way. They were using semiconductor technology to make the world's... I have the best machine shop in the world and the best plastic molders. We couldn't possibly make needles 500 millionths of an inch long, so sharp that you put them on your skin and you can't even really feel it penetrating the stratum corneum. But semiconductor technology can do it. Put up a picture here and I'll show you a wafer, which is a semiconductor wafer that has these microneedles on it. And on this single wafer, there's 75,000 of them. That wafer there is the same, comes off the same machine that makes your processors, your memory. There's a blow-up diagrammatically next to it. The hole in that thing is 100 millionths of an inch in diameter. The length of it is so sharp it'll easily pierce your skin. So we developed this, but we said, and I'm sure you all remember Pavoy's equation that says that the flow through a cylindrical cross-section varies as the inverse fourth power of the... Well, it turns out that to push any fluid through this thing is going to take a lot of time, and nobody's going to stand there and do it. Also, a baby's nice soft skin or a young woman's nice soft fleshy skin and my old cruddy leathery skin are so different. How are you going to do it? You need to eliminate technique. So we made a thing called Daisy. We made a thing that looks like the petals of a daisy. It's got a Band-Aid piece on the bottom of it. If you push it down on your skin, the first thing that happens is the daisy petals stretch. They go flat, like take an orange peel. Well, as they go flat, they become like a drum head for the skin underneath, which makes, by the time you push hard enough, you're directly against the skin with these sharp needles. Then there's a tiny little bleb. There's a basically about the size of a baby aspirin volume of space on the top side. And when you push hard enough, essentially to trigger this thing, a little spring in there will put about 2 pounds of pressure on it. So even though it takes 2 minutes to deliver this tiny, tiny amount of drug, nobody has to stand there for 2 minutes with a needle and a syringe poking your arm. So, you know, it was simple. It only had about 20 parts. We had it in design, develop, manufacture, do the injection molding, the tooling. Anyway, there's a video of this. We did our own in-house, this one we don't have to tell the FDA about. We did our own little in-house study. All we delivered was 1/10 of a cc of saline to see that we get a nice bleb. And I did a cross-section. I'm fortunate at DECA I have some of my employees are young. Right out of school, some are geezers like me. Some are men, some are women, some are Asian, some are African. Let's play this video. So we made some of these things. We did all the tooling, and we called it Daisy for the obvious reason. Now, we did this little hokey thing because I figured I better take this thing to the FDA and tell them what's coming. These are people inside my company. He's one of my engineers. That's his actual child. We didn't get a release from this child, but he's now only using the alcohol because we wanted to show, you know, makes the Band-Aid stick. You really can't feel those needles. It feels like you just pressed a piece of sandpaper on your skin. Now, yes, it worked on that little girl, and these are all a bunch of different people inside DECA. Now, we're going to do a time release there. We're going to wait 2 minutes, and each of these people pulls it off to demonstrate that that device during that 2 minutes delivered 1/10 of a cc. There's the bleb, there's the bleb, there's the bleb. There's a bleb everywhere. So we took this to a couple of big drug companies. Unfortunately, we'll probably do all the clinicals outside the U.S.
That was your alternate name for the device, the bleb, right?
Yeah. Anyway, we are now at a point where we have 3 or 4 major credible pharma companies that realize this could be used for dengue fever and lots of other things in the developing world. We are in the process of organizing a various set of clinical trials for that, but I'm hoping by the next time a pandemic hits this country, you won't have to see syringes and needles and large volumes and get fevers and muscle. All the side effects go away, and we'll have we were told, by the way, by the clinicians, many of them who graduated medical school probably long before you, said, we haven't seen a new method of delivering a drug into a person since they developed the needle, which was essentially during the Civil War. Anyway, we're very proud of that thing, and we'll see how it goes.
So when the next pandemic comes, well, that's interesting. You guys tabletop them in advance, and then they just happen, and wow, it's so coincidental. And they're not giving the mRNA vaccine. No, they have new ways they can send you an at-home kit, and your interstitium is one of those chunks of your biofield physiology that they won't tell you about because your body belongs to them, in order for them to have their open-air laboratory. That was heartbreaking. I don't want to get mad again, and I don't want to throw up. So, because here's the thing. I've said many times, my 8-year-old cousin had to take shots for diabetes, and that was terrible. Research and development people, that was the 80s. And all this time, it's a, what do they call it? Breakaway civilization. And those of you here in the chat, these are psychopaths. Yeah, and they know that everyone that has, is, I don't know, like 20 to 30 years old right now, they would be looking at all of us in the chat and myself and everybody going, what's wrong with you? Don't you want the way of the future? It's needleless. It's so easy. Yeah, it's bioelectronics. Transdermal patches. I've seen them in multiple ways. Excuse me, hang on. Like these things. Oh, they're phototherapy. Oh, we're just so excited. We can change out like different ways for it works with health apps, your phone, the terahertz, and never a word, nothing, never a word about how it works with the Internet of Medical Things. Bioelectronics, smart bandages, graphene tattoos, not a word. Pills that you swallow. Oh, it's just wonderful. Hang on. Okay? And then, meanwhile, screaming for 5 years about vaccines. See, this is why I can't make this make any sense at all. For this whole AI for good, they love us. And also, so you understand, this is biology they're screwing with, which means you're not turning it off, you're not turning it back, you're not draining it out of people. Sorry. Graphene's not the only thing that they use, but the people that are doing all this, especially the youth, they love it. It's great. I can take a smart pill. I don't have to mind my health. My phone will tell me what's happening in my body. I don't trust myself. I need a machine to tell me what's going on. These graphene tattoos are actually biosensors. IEEE spectrum, biomedical, flexible stick-on patches could monitor blood pressure, stress, and more. February this year, 2025. Imagine it's the year 2040 and a 12-year-old kid with diabetes pops a piece of chewing gum into his mouth. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, you can't have that. Cujo cat. A temporary tattoo in his forearm registers the uptick in sugar in his bloodstream and sends that information to his phone. Data from this health monitoring tattoo is also uploaded to the cloud, so the 12-year-old's mom can keep tabs on him. She has her own temporary tattoos, one for measuring the lactic acid in her sweat as she exercises, and another for continuously tracking her blood pressure and heart rate. Right now, such tattoos don't exist, but the key technology is being worked on at MIT. The upside is considerable. Electronic tattoos could help people track complex medical conditions. Yeah, it doesn't exist, right? Back to that same paper I already showed you, the intra-body networking for the Internet of Medical Things. And it's a biosensor. Well, God, they exist? This is what I mean. We're just 100 miles an hour. Nobody asked any questions because they don't care. It's all about the business and the market share every single time. And then they think, well, I'll get Tony the Nanobucket guy, excuse me, and I'll get all these metamaterials out of me. And I'm like, y'all, the graphene flagships are worldwide. They have so many different types of metamaterials. Quantum dot! And I'm like, we have over 40 different types of quantum dots. There's not just one way that they do this. And they've been busy working on it for 20 years. So you have to imagine that the people who went to school for it 10 years ago, they also look at us like we're stupid. Because to them, they know that this is the way of the future. Everyone's healthcare is going to be precision AI healthcare. You're not getting out of it. Nobody. Everybody is going to be treated with AI. Everybody is going to be using the AI. Everybody will take, by breathing, being around another human body, whatever it takes, you will be adhesed with the AI. They didn't want your permission. They're going post-humanism. Most people have no idea. This is your next-gen healthcare. Next-gen healthcare. It's not a maybe. Electronic health records, the whole nine, that has to do with those fire fear records, electronic health records. Hang on a second. Check it out. All these different companies. Here, let's see.
Independent practices like yours understand the challenges of using an EHR system. Working with patient information, even digitally, can feel like death by 1,000 clicks. NextGen Office helps smaller practices stay independent by simplifying, automating, and unifying documentation tasks. Use it to maximize reimbursements, exceed regulatory requirements, and carve out more quality time for patients. Because it's cloud-based, NextGen Office is available from any computer with an internet connection. Our intuitive UI is optimized for the Apple iPad and can also be used on Windows devices for maximum convenience in a clinical setting. Work the way you like by talking, touching, or typing to complete documentation tasks in a fraction of the time. Let's take a look at how Next-Gen Office works.
So, excuse me for a second. So, highlighting patient engagement and all your electronic health records are coming off those body area networks with like Cisco Yang and the other types of Fire and the Health Level 7 and all that's been going on since 2011. See other videos. That's the software. Hang on. And with the 6G, it's even more intense. It's not just the software with the electronic health records. Okay. This is why I got so angry with the doctors for lying about the medical body area networks. I'm like, you need to tell people what they're in for. Nope. No, we don't. We're going to continue putting it out there, upgrading with the, again, Cisco Yang, Health Level 7, monitoring at home, point of care is your mHealth. And that way, you don't get to say no. Welcome to your feature values. And this is why all this garbage and noise about, well, they're not going to use the Moderna vaccine. They can use the radar just to watch what's going on. Medical sensors for data acquisition. Yeah. But you have a magic amulet or a magic potion, right? Off-body detection, near-body monitoring. Disease prediction. Electronic Integrated Disease Surveillance System with the CDC. Remember? Yeah. Modeling. Determining parameters, same feature values. Same artificial neural networks. Same biosensors. And guess what? Same algorithms that are tethered to you, your body area network. Wow. Boy, isn't that something? Boy, that was hard to find. This is what I mean when I try to get people to understand that you're up against a brick wall of money that you wouldn't, well, not y'all, but people just refuse to admit to because it's huge. And they knew that. They have it written that way. They're like, the way we're going to do this is make it so lucrative that everybody's going to want to be in on it. And convenient. And then the next thing they're doing, because there's electronic health records, is like you heard him talk about, well, we're preparing for the next pandemic. If the first one wasn't good enough, let's give you another one, and another one, and another one. Eventually, you're going to capitulate or you're dead. Oh, okay. So to them, we are the crazy ones. Those of us that want to manage our own health, our youth look at us like we're insane. We're cavemen. Your phone is the only thing that can tell you what to do with your health. Because your phone is going to be able to pull all those informatics accurately in real time. You can't feel your own skin. You don't really know what you're feeling. You're just taking a guess. Now, this comes from the social engineering of the last 40 years of needing 5 doctors, 6 specialists, 3 therapists, or else, what's wrong with you? And anybody who is a chiropractor, you're a quack. Where's the human biofield? Shut up. That's fake. What are you using with your electronic health records? Crickets. Okay. So the young don't want anything to do. Now, don't broad brush everybody. Okay, I'm being generalized here because there's always going to be outliers. But the majority of the youth, they don't want anything to do with accountability with like cars and buying a house. They've watched all that fail. So they want that health app on their phone. And that way they can log into their own phone and see what they're going to do with themselves. Are you watching all this business here? That's why I'm scrolling for you. And they're all going to work and school for it. They're all very excited. This is your next generation healthcare, not only with the billing and your electronic health records being inside of your body, in the cloud, blah, 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 but it's also how pharma has already went. That's why we're watching this guy. I don't always let it play all the way. But the reason I am is because you're going to hear so many different things in here of what they're really doing. Oh, you need a new liver? We'll grow you one. Oh, it's half made of pig, but, don't worry about it. Or metamaterials or whatever. No big deal. And this is what we get, in my opinion, because nobody talked about, for the last 5 years, what was really going on. Except myself, non-vaxxer, and a handful of people in very quiet, hushed-up tones, mishmashed between other fantasy, mythos, and other things, because otherwise, NDAs and getting kicked off the YouTube. Right. So while they continued to lie about what they knew was under the microscope, 20 years of our tax dollars paying for it, all of our youth goes, hey, what's wrong with you? You're connected to the cloud. That's awesome. We're going to use these metamaterials just like the president said. Take your cancer away in 2 days. You're going to live forever. You're going to be augmented. You're going to love it. The AI is going to know exactly what to do with the algorithm written only for you. And the rest of us are going, I don't want you under my skin. I want choice. No, you don't need choice. You need to do what you're told. Just like the social engineering we've all been living under since the 80s, you're going to do what you're told. That's it. And if you don't, we're going to punish you by calling you crazy, ostracizing you from your community, and as I started out with, explaining the way that this has been designed, everybody's nuts except them. And if you disagree with them, well, then they'll slow kill you, and nobody going to know any better. And when we asked, show your work, they don't need to do that. They got pharmacogenomics, all the omics, clinical genomics, AI, and healthcare. And your AI, your virtual nurse, your digital twin, FDA Modernization Act is far more accurate than you. That's it. You're either going to do it the way the youth are planning, or you're done. Nobody is given a choice because, you get it now? Posthumanism and transhumanism, Buffy, are a response to the failure of humans. Machines are better. And there you go. And so the rest of us are like, well, guess we'll be living down by the river. Sabrina, it's not funny. Oh, I'm aware. But the part of things that, hey, if you can't laugh, then you end up crying and hollering. What good is that going to do? It ain't going to change anything. We're going to cure the paraplegics. Sure you're not.
Did you see the movie Oppenheimer? If you did...
I will grovel, I will beg, I will scream, I will threaten, I don't care. I think this planet of ours is in a race to develop enough technical competence across now 8 billion people, soon probably more. We're in a race between staying at least one step ahead of catastrophe through better technology, or losing the race to a global catastrophe, man-made or otherwise. And I wouldn't be confident if I were all of you, don't worry, we'll win that race. I've learned over the 32 years now of trying to build first that there are actually very, very, very few people, when you look at the denominator being 8 billion, that are either going to make that happen or not. And I'd like to say I don't want to embarrass him, but I want to embarrass him. I would tell you the reason I've never turned Peter down when he's asked me to do these things is I always think I get more out of it than he does. I almost feel guilty about it sometimes, but not stop. But I also used to ask myself all the time, how does Peter, year after year, create a bigger, more incredible group of people that he can put in one room that do what they do? And I know I've told you this year after year, I don't know how he does it. But in listening today, and after you played that thing last night for Do It My Way, it occurred to me, Peter, and think about this a second. People are mostly driven, not in their day job, but their passion, whether it's religion or by being part of a group that shares an idea. And as I listened to everybody over the last day or two, I realized what Peter's magic is he's figured out how out of the 8 billion people to find a very, very small group of people, and it is small, that shares 3 important characteristics that makes that group even smaller, because it's the Venn diagram of people that have a lot of resources. And you find people with a lot of resources, and you've introduced many to me, and I thank you for that. You introduced me to Martin Rothblatt, to the guys that funded the entire Mexico. I mean, it goes on and on. People with resources, because people without resources get up every day, they're worried about whether they can feed their kids. They don't have the tools, they don't have the resources to change the world. They have to deal with what they get. But a lot of people have powerful resources. Most of them use it as a weapon, not a tool. They come into this world, and if they have more resources, they use it to take more out of the world. He's found the people that have resources, and for some reason, he's found the ones that want to put something back into the world. That makes it an even smaller subset. And then I'm going to stop. I will just tell you, I have a feeling that we ought to give him some kind of title, and I was thinking of that today. And I think it's like you are like the Pope of Hope. No. I used to think I was going to start my own organization.
A moment.
I used to tell people, they asked me, am I religious? I said, yeah, I belong to the holy order of the sacred differential equation. And people used to tell me, love makes the world go round. I said, well, actually, it's angular momentum. But I realized that if you're going to get the world to do the right thing, and if you're going to find a way to get a lot of kids really smart, you can't just be analytic and academic and technical. You need to find people that have resources, that are willing to come together, that are willing to do something that will make the world a better place. And he's the only person I know that spends his life trying to collect these people, and I'm just here to steer a few of them to help us. So with that as background, 32 years ago, I started a not-for-profit organization called FIRST. I called it FIRST for inspiration and recognition of science and technology, because I thought at the time that this country was totally misguided when all of our political leaders back then, all of our business leaders, all our education leaders thought everybody knew we're producing way too few scientists and engineers. This country was going to lose its position, which we've seen what's happened now. And they all said it's an education crisis. I'm an inventor, right? What do inventors do? Inventors look at the same problems as everybody else and see them differently. My mom is a teacher, and I would sit at home and say, do you really think suddenly we have an education crisis in this country? Even back then, 32 years ago, we spent more money per capita on education, public education, than any country in the world. I said, it's not an education crisis, it's a culture crisis. And it's not what we don't have enough of, schools, textbooks, it's what we have too much of, distractions and false heroes. And the only people that little kids 30 years ago, and now with the internet it's even worse, the only superheroes they could name came from the NBA, the NFL, or Hollywood. And in a free country where you get the best of what you celebrate, we celebrate sports and entertainment, which is why the U.S. produces great sports and great entertainment. Yeah, physics and math, and not so much. So I said, kids love sports, let's just turn physics and math and science into a sport. I thought it would be easy. We would do it a year of example. People would see how much fun it is if you did it as an after-school aspiration event, just like football or basketball. And I just thought this is a no-brainer, and everybody will adopt it. It'll be as fun as any other sport, but it'll be the only sport where every kid on every team can turn pro. So this is a good deal. And it grew from 23 teams in year one to 50 to 100 to 200 because I needed mentors. I needed superstars in my sport, like baseball and football have them, and Hollywood has them. But we were reaching a point where I needed more media attention, we needed more resources, and he's referring to a conversation I had with him at the time, and I said, Peter, you have to help me get more awareness for FIRST. And he did, and every year since we've worked together, and it's grown this year, and everybody makes fun of me when I take out my little, this year, March Madness, we're in the middle of it, the season got so big that instead of my one little card with the front being FIRST and the back, which was for the first 5 years, come to Manchester with the 23 teams, you now have to open it up and look at the schedule for 2024, and you see 182 cities holding events for 82,000 schools. With
82,000 schools.
With 200,000 volunteer mentors, We gave out $80 million in scholarships down on Scholarship Pro last year at the championship in Houston, where it will be this year from the 17th to the 20th of April. It's an incredible collection of passionate parents, teachers, community leaders. Every one of the Fortune 500 tech companies is a big sponsor. And I'm going to show a quick video of what we did to get First up bigger and better. And I really thank you for giving me this opportunity, because you're all going to end up with homework in a couple minutes out of this.
Yes,
but what happened was, after about 25 years of running First, because almost every big company is multinational, I would go to the championships and there'd be teams from 40 or 50 countries. And that's because, you know, the big companies were, they're international, so they would send the kids around. I ended up being in Israel at one point, and before he passed, with Shimon Peres, and by then there were 500 or 600 teams in Israel. And by the way, the Palestinians, they're all working together. He then says to me, it's not good enough that after 25 years you only have 40 or 50 countries. Dean, there should be an international sport like the Olympics, and every country in the world needs to participate. Under the condition that he agreed to be my honorary chair, I founded a sister organization to First called First Global. And I said, I'm going to get one team from every country in the world. I thought that's a modest goal. 54 countries in Africa, one team per country. 24 countries in the Middle East, one team. And I'm going to show a quick set of pictures. But besides First, as I just told you, being on a tear in this country, and by the way, somebody give me my little kit, quick. Year after year, I've said we ought to have First in every school in the United States. It's a cheaper sport than football or basketball. You have less likelihood of breaking your knees or necks. Let's make this in every school. Finally, over the last year, I was able to work internally to create kits where for less than $100, we can build a very sophisticated processing board. And I went to our governor in New Hampshire, and when I told him what we could build a robot kit for, the governor of New Hampshire, and this is public now, and you'll see it, said, Dean, you've been beating on us for years to make it a standardized sport like the others. If you can give us a kit like that with the curriculum to go with it, and kids love building things like this, he said, it's under $100 for you to build it. I said, yeah, we'll give them to you at whatever they cost. The governor of New Hampshire said, we're not going to put a First team in every school. We're going to put a First kit in every classroom in the state. And we did it this year. This kit costs less than a typical textbook. And kids don't even open textbooks. They're not relevant. But they do hardware, they do software, they do development, they work in teams. And knowing that you've got little kids, you now have a First robot kit, and we're going to be trying to get other governors to make this a standardized national sport. But back to First Global.
And by the way, let me just ask you guys, as we're going through this, please post your questions and upvote questions in the app, if you would, if you've got questions popping up in your head. I just want to make sure I get us out of here on time for the party, and I can never stop Dean from talking about First, so.
Yeah, you did, oh Fortuna. Isn't that something? Is that an X? You're being paranoid. Or maybe you're practicing pattern recognition. I don't know. It's so hard to tell. Give them all a box. You've seen the cartoons. They're everywhere. The way of the future is to log into everyone else, adhere with the AI, and post-humanism. And all the conservatives and the neocons, what do they endlessly whine about? We have all these PDF files and purple-haired people in the schools. We need to go back to creation with Jesus. We got an office in the White House with the new reincarnated Tammy Faye. And, oh Lord, where's the synthetic biology? Where's the Lockheed Martin and all their financial portfolios? They just conveniently forgot what they've been investing in for years and years. Ridiculous. All right, so that's where I'm going to stop because, you know, you don't want to be late for the party. It is currently 10:29 a.m. April 21st, 2025. And I will be back in 30 minutes as we go into posthumanism with Dr. Michael Levin. It's pretty important. And from there, because I'm going to finish up these, we've got a pretty long list of links here. I want to say thank you to those of you who've been here with us this morning. And thank you to the person putting links in the channel. Genuinely appreciate that. Or in the chat, rather. And much love to all of you, too. And remember, heart fire up. Because I am not an advocate for fighting and arguing with people. Okay? I'm not. I am an advocate for education, communication with your own loved ones, so that you, whoever you are empowered with the appropriate terminology. And I am not going to apologize for my tone of voice at the beginning of this live, given that history that you were given from me, of which I am a survivor of the DARPA N2 testing that Giordano brags about in front of the young recruits of our military, okay? That is why we are in the position we're in right now, because nobody wants to talk about R&D, research and development, and what made them all this money. And that has driven a massive divide between parents and children, okay? And it's really important that we love each other, that we're gentle with ourselves first, and we're real, real about the options we have. Not, just sit, just wait, the white hats, they're coming. Excuse me, it's the Tooth Fairy and the Stork. Uh-huh. And Santa Claus, Malone, and the Clowns. Sure. We're going to turn off the chemtrails at the Tennessee border. Yeah, because the rivers, the jet stream, the soil, and the grass, they're going to listen to you. Okay. So we have to be real, grounded, and then joy in the face of adversity is an act of rebellion. You sing, you dance, you breathe, and you know what you're really looking at. Thank you for being here with the Synergy channel this morning. You are most welcome. But we are honored to be among you, and by we, I mean myself and my family, because there are more and more people all the time that just want to know, for real, y'all, business and market share, what am I looking at here? No more of these ghost stories and goofiness. We're good. And that is what our channel is consistently known for, because of you. All of you. And if there is going to be any medium road at all, it will be because of you. Oh, you are most welcome. All right, time to blow the shofar. Holy Lord. Nah, you can wait. We'll be back with all that post-human, you call it intelligence. Well, you're working with that there anatomy that God made perfectly that y'all hid for yourselves. So I don't know. Just saying. No fear. Valerie. Judy. Now, Valerie and Judy. That's right. Mark 5:36, amen. No fear. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the opportunity today. Pater noster, qui es in celi, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo, in saecula saeculorum, gratias Deo, peccata mundi Domini. Amen. All right, y'all. See you in half an hour. Valerie and Judy. Goodness. See y'all soon.